Hello, welcome to the stream, everyone. We've got a very special guest today. Would you like to introduce yourself, Merlyn, and say hi to the people?
Hi, I'm Merlyn Hawthorne. Very special is an overstatement, and I keep sending laughing emojis every time he calls me talented because it's entirely botch jobs. But there we go.
I think it's very hard to see talent in yourself, right? But we certainly see it in you. So thank you so much for coming along and joining us. Right, a couple of things I want to go through before we get into your crafting stuff. I want to talk about the leather. Here we go. Oh, hi George. How's things, buddy? So before, I'll go over this briefly. I was using the full slate, and I was having to use like a full piece of leather that covered the whole thing, and then I went down to half bits because I ran out of the size that could do the whole thing in one go. And then I decided, what happens if I just kept on folding it, right? So I fold it, cut it in half, fold it again, cut it in half, fold it again, and cut it in half. And I come up with these tiny little things, which means I get to use the scrappier little bits of leather. And it's just a bit more efficient, really. So that's what I've worked out. I'm really fucking proud of myself. So that's what I've been up to. Ian, have you got your big machine? Is that working yet?
No, I haven't had the die cuts yet, so I'm still waiting on that. They're winging their way over as we speak. I was hoping I'd have them for today. So I was actually going to press out the first plate on stream, and it was probably going to be a disaster. But as it stands, there's just nothing.
Okay. Ian, it's okay, buddy. We got weeks of this shit to go, probably.
Yeah, weeks. Yeah.
Corva, thank you very much for joining us again, pal. Hope you're all well. All right, Merlyn, let's get down to it, right? What have you got for us? What have you got there?
This is the thing I'm working on. I started it a couple days ago because I've run out of excuses and I have too much time.
Yeah.
So I got rotten banana on my headband, so I needed another bit of mage armor to get the effect. So I'm adding to the armor that I've already got.
So what have you got there?
Made, like,
what have you got there? Okay, so is that leather that you've got there?
Well, no. So I wanted to make the whole thing out of leather so badly, and then I was like, when I have the money, when I have the time. But I'm not going to have the money for a long time, so I decided to make it out of sofa cushions in denim instead, because that's a very Navarre material.
Yeah,
wow.
That makes sense.
That's interesting.
So is
Hi,
it
Phil, by the way.
a denim sort of undercoat then with the leather on the top? Is that?
Well, these two bits are fake leather.
Hold on,
they were off a really nasty
big. There we go.
whipish pouch. So, it was like the actual main body of it is two thicknesses of sofa cushion cover, and then denim in the middle. But this bit is just really plasticky. Really bad fake leather. So that's lovely.
It looks good though. Like, I don't know if it's just the camera or what, but it looks legit.
Yeah, sorry.
So is that going to be a kind of tunic?
Done the tin foil thing. You know, where you scrunch up tin foil, put it over, and then iron it, so you get like crinkles in the fake leather, because it was basically just brown plastic before.
Wow, that's a really good idea. You're already dropping like pro tips. I like it. That's cool. So what do? Just get tin foil and then iron over it?
So if you get like tin foil, scrunch it into a ball, and then unroll it, and then you put it and you just iron on top. Got to press down with all your weight though, because I'm not very strong. But...
me neither. Don't worry about it. George says it looks awesome, by the way, so that's good. And that's what counts, right? Mage armor on the wiki says it's made to look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Bonus of being a mage, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
No way I could afford normal armor.
Well, you don't have to mess about too much with the kind of like trying to get this kind of, because like the really legit armor is really fucking expensive, right? Like even if you look on any site and look at like leather armor, you're going to be dropping like what, 150 minimum, and that stuff doesn't really interest me a huge amount. Like, but yeah. Thanks for joining us, Musha's check. I'm gonna call you Musha if that's okay. Cool. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Cool. So, what else have you got there?
Well, at the minute I'm at a friend's house. I'm quarantined here, so I haven't got a whole lot of stuff. Just basically what I've done in the last couple days. So, not much. I don't know. I've got. Oh, there was a comment made by my college tutor that glue gun is tacky and like, you know what I mean? Like you get the little strands and stuff. So I proved them wrong. I made a mask entirely out of glue gun.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Which is pretty cool.
Really, really
Oh,
good.
hold on. You made that out of with a glue gun?
Yeah, so I got the really little one,
Yeah.
like £5.99, and then the wholesale glue sticks off eBay, so you can get like 100 for like £4. And then you just do it in strands, so you use the globby nastiness of it to do like cool textures.
That's incredible. Oh my god. You know, you're already kind of embarrassed about what we're doing already, because I'm a little bit embarrassed about what we're doing already. Yeah, George is like,
What's the
that's insanely good.
what's the swirling patterns of your tunic made out of? Is that leather as well, or is that?
Oh, okay, yeah. So when I made the thing, it was really quite floppy still, and I thought, you know what's really bad about acrylic paint is it gets in your clothes and it goes stiff. So I thought if I dunk the whole thing in watered down acrylic paint and let it dry on a mannequin in the right form, it'll like wet form it, and then when the acrylic paint dries, it turns to plastic, then it's waterproof.
Oh, that's really cool.
By getting like
That's
all
really,
the
really
fabric wet, it sort of made it so it's still like pliable, but it's sort of like, if you can tell, a lot stiffer than it was before.
Yeah.
And then the patterns are just less watered down acrylic paint painted on.
Wow.
That's really cool.
I mean, it's really fucking cool, right? Hi, Ears of the Wolf. Thanks, Benny. That's Benny. Thanks for joining us, Benny. Yeah, lots of compliments about the mask and all of that. Basically, people like that shit a lot. I think it's very impressive. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of speechless, to be honest. Do you want to look at some pictures that that Merlyn sent me of stuff that she's got?
I don't have most of my stuff with me.
Yeah, let's have a look here. So I think I set it up correctly. I want to share. No, none of those things. Oh, sorry. I don't think. Oh, damn it! Don't push the buttons, Dave. Okay, there we go. Good. I want to stream the screens. Oy. Okay, I did test this earlier, but now it's being funny. There we go. I just needed to click on it. There we go. Right then, I would like to go live with this. Okay, I'll make that big. Make that go full screen. Right, so we're looking here at your pictures of your belt and what look like braces there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let me just flick through a couple of these because there's a nice close-up of these at some point. Hold on, let me go here. And then go here. Okay. Oh, it's all gone wrong. It's not good. Let me see if I can. Okay, let me. Sorry,
those ones at least I have got with me.
Like, yeah, let's go back to the. Let me stop streaming that. Do you have them with you? Whoop.
Yeah, I've got those two with me.
I've lost your camera.
I have all my Empire stuff stashed here anyway.
Approach. It's a belt and braces approach. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we've lost your camera. Can you turn your camera off and on again?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we're back.
There you
Cool. Right. Let's talk through how you made the belt, basically, because I'm very curious about that.
Okay, so my first set of mage armor was made the Thursday before my second Empire. No. Yeah, my second Empire event. And so it's extremely bodged up. Like the first time it was entirely glue gunned together, there was no stitching in it at all.
Nice.
And it lasted, to be fair. But they're made out of little sofa samples, which is lucky because I have tiny arms. And then again, just the painting with acrylic to do like a labyrinth pattern. Although, I did later learn, this is not labyrinth, this is a maze. No dead ends in a labyrinth.
Right. Okay. Good knowledge.
Yeah,
what's the symbol at the top there? Is that like wait, what is that? It seems to be indented or something?
Well, these were just little
let me make
like
you
metal things off like a belt from the charity shop.
Yeah.
But they're on
clever.
all the different pieces.
Oh, so you got them all to match and give like a theme to the armor effectively?
Yeah, well that was my hope because I don't have like matching colours of leather or anything, so I was like, I need to tie it together somehow. And then this bit just isn't having any because I don't have any left, but I might try and... There's no way I'm going to find the same belt again, let's be honest.
No, but it does look cool though. It's very nice. I like that idea as well, that to bring the different parts together, especially if you don't have the same matching pattern, right? Like it's good to kind of have something to link all the different elements together. Right, let's
kind of...
Sorry.
There's an asymmetry to Navarre stuff anyway, right? So I think it does lend itself quite well. You don't necessarily need everything to be matching.
Yeah, I like the way as well it gives a kind of idea of it being kind of a magey symbol as well. Like it could have some significance to it, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It'd be cool to do something with.
Well, I don't know. Rosie pointed out that there's like 9 dots on it, and she was like, "Oh, is that like the nations?" I'm like,
that's exactly what it is.
At the time, I knew like nothing. 'Cause I didn't. I did research on really specific things in a lot of depth. So the sort of group of people that I brought to Empire, because I mind controlled a lot of people to come with me.
Ian's like you, yeah.
They would always ask me things, and I would just go to the wiki, but they would always ask me anyway. And then I just stopped researching purely because I didn't want to become the wiki for everybody else. So
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Because now they know far more than me.
My wiki knowledge is
outsourced.
I get a lot of my knowledge off the dank memes page. Basically, that's where I get an awful lot of my information, which I use in game. Basically, so yeah, everyone's got their own way of doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Let's talk through the belt then. Let's go into a bit more detail.
Yeah. So the belt is half. It's really hard to tell because at one point it was sliding off because I really liked this belt and I wanted to have it like reusable. So this was all like separated so it could slide on and off.
yeah.
But I then stopped wearing this because it was always with my Empire stuff, so I just glued it on so it didn't slide about. And it's just one layer of real leather, one layer of fake leather glued together, and then this hunk of metal stuck on.
What is the hunk of metal?
Well, not so. Okay, so this one, I made 2 sets. One of them I made this. That's in my portfolio at college, which is really annoying. And it was based off this one, and then this one was off a charity shop belt, I think. But I'm not sure because we'd done the same sort of thing in college, stamping into brass. And I'm kind of kicking myself for not waiting and using my one because I prefer it. And I'm going to have to remake it because it won't come apart because it's too stuck on.
So is that literally you're using like a tiny little chisel head basically, and you bash it and it makes a mark? Is that how it works?
So the ones, kind of, yeah. The ones we've got in college, they're stamps. So you heat up your brass so it's a little bit softer, and then you just got the little stamps. I know you can get letter ones and different shaped ones, and then you just
how
kind of the same as tooling leather, I guess.
How hot does your brass need to be before you stamp it?
Kind of a guessing game. I don't know. You can't really tell the heat. You're just blowtorching it until it sort of gets a ripple across the surface. The thing with brass is if you do it for too long, it will like go crinkly, if that makes any sense. Like when it will melt the whole top surface of the metal, so that when it dries, it will dry
unevenly,
kind of like
right?
crinkled tinfoil.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but yeah, it's just enough to sort of bend it, the same as you would with copper, I guess. So it's just, there's a word for it. It's not annealing, it's the other one.
I've never even heard of such a thing before. You mentioned it just now, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, wicked. So
that's great, dude.
Yeah, like really fucking cool. Really fucking cool. I think it's yeah, it's really. I like the way that you're taking a whole bunch of skills that you've learned in college and elsewhere, and you're kind of like incorporating them into making the like something really special as a result from it, right? I think that's going to really stand out. And also, you could possibly, if anything happens to your character, which let's hope it doesn't, right? But you could potentially replace it with something else, right? If you do. Well, but you said you couldn't really take it apart, didn't you?
Well, I could probably take it apart, but not without breaking it. But what I've tried to do is, it's going to sound really morbid, but I sort of think, you know how in some cultures, like you have to think about the next 7 generations of how you leave the land. But I'm kind of like that with my armor, because when I was making it, I was talking to my friends. I was like, if I die and you get the armor, what sort of things what would you like? So I've tried to make it sort of personalized enough so it's fits Asia, but also can be given to maybe a new player or one of the players in my striding afterwards. So like with this one, like it's got this, so it's probably going to have to go to a vine because it's got the vine symbol on it. But I like the idea of being able to give stuff to new players because I got helped out a lot. I want to help people out. And I've got a bag full of clothes that I bought from charity shops that don't fit me, which are going to be brought to the next event to be rummaged through.
It's amazing.
I think we've been thinking a lot about trying to make stuff to sort of pass on to new players as well.
I
think it's a really nice kind of thing to it. And we've got, what's it called? There's a thing Navarre do, which is where we kind of give stuff to people.
The unburdening.
That's it, the unburdening.
Yeah. Which
it's
is
it's a really nice
it's a
idea.
great concept, right? The idea of like helping out your fellow, because it's OCIC stuff, right? Like, but it's nice that there's a in-game function for that, right? Where you can really just give your stuff away to people that need it, right? Or want it. I mean, Jesus, some of that stuff's like really awesome. Unfortunately, under quarantine, I don't think I'm going to be fitting into many belts after this quarantine, but you know, it happens. Right, if we have any questions from chat, by the way, feel free to ask, because it's supposed to be interactive, right? So let me, how do I not make you big? There we go. Yeah, so Ian, what have you been crafting much this week?
Yeah,
I'm going to push the camera down. I'm going to do a bit of crafting, seeing that we're here.
Yeah, I'll show you whereabouts I am.
Okay. Let's cross.
So,
there we go.
I've got 2 sides of this done now. So
Front and back.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's the first part, and then I've got the back, which is this one. So they look identical.
Dude, that's amazing.
But the idea is that together, those will kind of go around the body, and that'll be my armor essentially. But now I need to look at sort of doing something with the shoulders.
What are you planning for? Are you going to use the same shape, or are you going to use a different colour?
No, so I'm going to use what I kind of dubbed ingot plate on the templates that I shared, which is this one. So they'll be sort of like this on the arms. And nice. I'll probably do it sort of 2 layers that will kind of come down like that. So I'm just in the process of making I've taken one of the plates off my cardboard set here, and I'm basically making a template to work on, start cutting those out. I want to do something as well where I kind of like how these ones have like the sort of metal details on them. Oops.
Yeah. The washes.
Like, kind of like that. I want to do something with when I get these ones done. Something down the middle, maybe. I might do like 3 brass rivets that kind of go down the middle of each piece.
Maybe something like.
So I like the idea of. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Maybe something like a bar or something would look good as well.
Yeah, I was thinking like a strip with 3 brass rivets. Basically, I might take some of the red leather that I have, which is like this, and sort of it doesn't really show up very well on the camera. But have that. I'll turn the light on actually.
Yeah, turn the light on here. Oh, there you go.
So it's kind of like that.
Oh yeah, that's very similar to this color actually that I've got here.
Yeah, so that'll go over the top of the brown. So that'll kind of give you an. I don't know if you can tell the difference in contrasts there.
Yeah, definitely. No, I like
so
how
maybe something like that.
It's one of the good things about these kind of leather packs that some of these different tones actually work really well together when you put them next to each other. Like I'm definitely planning on doing. I love the fact you're doing something else that's really interesting, and we're going to get to that, Merlyn, because I want to ask questions. But how that they can kind of like merge together to make a pattern. Like I think I'm going to go for more of a multicolored vibe, like and embrace that rather than trying to get something that's just uniform all across. Right, let me just do some chat real quick. George says,
can't see the chat.
Don't worry, we've got me who's massively dyslexic and struggles to read, reading out all the chat, which goes well every time it happens. George says, good gravy. Every time I'm just blown away. I think he's talking about Ian's armor there. Benny's like, oh damn Ian, that's hexa goodness. Jesus. Ben, just lay off the fucking puns here, man. The wordplay. I mean, Jesus. Right.
Hey, he's the prince of puns. Don't tell him what to do.
He's the king of puns, the emperor of puns. Right. Mush asks, this is a vague and possibly hard to answer, but as someone who wants to dabble in crafting LARP kit, where is a good place to start? That is a hard question to answer, but I think a really good one. I'm really curious about both of your opinions on that.
I think. Pick a project, something. Actually, to be honest, ambitious is not necessarily bad, right? A lot of the times you might get advised to start small, and small's good too. But like sometimes picking something that isn't a budget, both in terms of time and expenditure, which you can afford to make mistakes on and learn from those mistakes, is an important thing, right? Like if you can't afford it in terms of either time or expense, then you know it's not necessarily what you want to sort of train your skills on.
So demoralizing to just have a thing you want to do, want to do it and then just not be able to. It feels like you're almost failing yourself before you even start.
Hugely, and that pressure can make it hard as well, right? Like you set yourself up to climb this mountain and you can't even take one step, right? I love that, by the way. It's hilarious. That the sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's so funny. Can we talk about? Oh, yeah, sorry. Go on in.
So, but like also like having expensive materials, right? And if you go expensive from the beginning, and you can't afford to essentially have those materials be sort of sacrificed, then that is its own sort of problem. So I would say pick a project that you can do in terms of both your budget with regards to time and expenditure, and then just pick logical tools and logical materials that you can work around it. I bang on about them all the time, but a really good set of fabric scissors is such an amazing investment to have. Like this will see you through so many different crafting projects. Like just being able to cut clean lines on material is it's a godsend. And then like, for example, this material here, right? This is faux leather from Dunelm that you buy by the 1 meter by 1.5 meters, right? This is £9 per sheet of this, as I say, for 1 meter by 1.5 meters. It's backed like this. It's essentially lino stuff, like really thin tableware, essentially. And it's got this kind of leather texture to it. Like you can learn a lot just by practicing making stuff out of material like this. Okay, so pick materials that are cheap, pick tools that you can get cheaply, and then just sort of practice those crafts as you go, and you'll learn a lot of skills and you'll make a lot of mistakes, and that's the best way to learn.
Agreed. Yeah, Merlyn?
Well, I agree with a lot of what you said, especially the don't be afraid to sacrifice things, because I've had like so many like sketchbooks, especially, or like notebooks where you get given it's got a nice cover and you're like, oh, I'm gonna write special things in this, and then you write nothing in it.
It becomes
for ages.
It becomes too precious, right? Like
it's too precious. You're not good enough. You're not ready. Like that's not the thing you want to write. You're waiting for the perfect. Don't wait for the perfect thing. It's very unlikely to come along. And if you start and you do something that's less than perfect, then that's just preparing you for when you do get the chance to do it properly.
I completely agree. There's so much of that in general life. I think that's a good lesson in life, right? Like one thing I think about, like when it comes to us doing the podcast and everything and the little journey that we've gone on, we've never done a perfect episode. We've never done a perfect intro and outro. It doesn't exist, right? But the process of doing it and learning it brings us ever closer to something that is better and more worthwhile, right? Like so, yeah, I really think like you can scare yourself into inaction by trying to set yourself up because you believe you're going to fail. Assume you will fail and do it anyway. The process of doing it will be worthwhile, right? And you'll learn a lot about yourself. And also, there's a whole thing by the best way to get over procrastination is by doing. I know that sounds really like a counterproductive thing, but once you start breaking that and start doing it, then it can become very good. There is some really good resources on the Empire Wiki to do with crafting. I saw it ages ago, but there's some really fun crafting guides on there. So you might want to have a quick look around there. Also, like get an idea of what you want, right? Is it going to be, are you looking to make armor? Are you looking into maybe making latex swords? Are you know, there's 101 different things. Are you just looking to make some jewelry, right? Because there are loads of different stuff out there. Think about the character that you're trying to make. Think about theming, and then start going from there. Start building up a kind of basic plan of what your intentions are. And the internet's there, right? Like you can really, and the community is very good for this as well. So. Yeah.
YouTube is fantastic, right? There's a lot of stuff and so many different resources you can find on YouTube where, for example, the mask you made, Merlyn, like there's a lot of stuff that shows how to use a glue gun and the way of actually handling it to make those shapes and how you can kind of cast shapes. I mean, obviously you've got more experience of it than I have, but I've seen that kind of thing done before and it's really interesting to see the results of it.
It's pretty cool. Like, honestly, the amount of things that you can do with such limited things. It's like when I first got a glue gun, it was because I wanted to make like yoga mat foam steampunk goggles when I was probably like 10.
Nice.
And the goggles were awful, but I had it then, and I was using it for different things. And like now I can make prosthetic molds for latex prosthetics and stuff like that from it. But I think also, like, one thing I'd say is if you don't feel like you have the skills to start, just pick something that is ridiculously easy. And like, obviously everyone doesn't have a sewing machine, so this is not a rock solid example, but when I started, the first thing I made for LARP was just pouches, like little square pouches. And I would cut out the material from scrap fabrics or like old t-shirts and stuff when I was doing nothing, and then pin them. And I would just do, and I think I made like 42 pouches. And honestly, I have no clue where any of them have gone.
You
Mostly
lost
just been
42
away.
of them.
Yeah. Well, because I used to cut the fabric and pin them whilst I was watching like TV or film. And then I used to go in on college on a Friday because I get ridiculously lonely in my flat and I would rather go in on my day off. So I go on a Friday and I would just sew them up. And it's absolutely mind-numbing, but then you've got so much stuff at the end. And I think just doing something that you can do and do quickly and then have like instant gratification when you're beginning, having that and looking down and saying, I made this, I made that. Maybe don't pick, like, picking ambitious things is fine, but don't pick something, I would say, that's going to take you months and months and months, because it's going to feel great when you finally got it, but you might lose momentum, and that's not going to encourage you to want to start the next thing.
There's also like something to be said about small victories, right? Like, I'm doing this project here. This is really the first real crafting project that I'm doing, right? And it's I can do 10 minutes of this and put it back down again and feel like it's a little win, right? And I'm still working ever closer to that end project. And I think looking at Merlyn's belt is a really good example of how something that might seem unrelated might come out to be very, very handy on a different project, because it's going to be an extra weapon that you have that you can use to craft with, right? Which is fantastic. Let me just do a little bit of questions here. Okay, Phil, we'll get back to that question. Latex swords, Benny, yes, that is a thing. That's what we bash each other with instead of steel. Turns out steel is quite dangerous, so they try and opt for something that's not going to cut arms and legs off and all that stuff.
It does still hurt when you get stabbed in the eye, though.
It does. I stabbed a referee in the neck because someone like parried, and I felt I was. They took it like so well, but I was like, I definitely connected, and it was not pretty. But anyway, Right, George says polyclay is good for jewelry and stuff like that. I have no clue on how to use it, but Anna makes some cool little trinkets. I didn't know she did any crafting. She crafts and sings. That's not fair. Tell her that's too many talented things. She's only allowed to do one.
You have to give one back.
You have to just either stop singing or quit crafting. That's the rules. That's the rules. Right.
Or you can just become slightly mediocre at both. You can do that as well.
Yeah, good call. You're right. You don't have to completely quit. But if she could sing the odd dumb note occasionally, that would be really handy. He says the best thing for crafty best friend. Having a crafty best friend. It is the best thing having a crafty best friend. Literally, I wouldn't be on the field. Like, the armor I wear currently is Ian made it. There's endless things that Ian made that I wear, and if I added them all up, it's okay.
The weird thing, right? Like, take my experience, right? Like, I am not actually, like, I have no real practical crafting experience before LARP, right? Really, like, I mean, I'm someone who did digital graphic art and design, right?
You're an arty person, right? Like, I'm
an arty person.
You like to create.
You've got the brain for it, but you haven't done the hard skills.
Yes.
Exactly, right? So it's like everything I've done has been a process of just sort of physical trial and error, right? And I think, like, it's just accepting that, like, you'll work your way up, like any kind of thing, to trying out new projects, and each of those mistakes, and your mistakes are always more formative than your successes in many ways.
Very much so.
And each of those things will lead you naturally to the next project you're taking on. And there's a really nice growth when you get to that bit where you do suddenly splash out on an expensive item, you know, an expensive component that you're going to attach to the project that you're going to do. And that's expensive in terms of time or money. When you get to that bit where you sort of feel like you've graduated to the point in your mind where you're like, yeah, I can do this and I'm comfortable to it. There's a really nice thing to look back at all of those skills, at all those errors, the past that have taken you to that moment, and all of those little wins that you've picked over the whole course of your crafting.
Ian, I think that's such a good point, because I think, like, if you are under the mindset where you are looking negatively at your own abilities, you may not even realize like how well you're doing. Like, okay, Merlyn, for example, she's like, oh, this is a bit rubbish, right? Like, whereas all of us are sitting there going,
I didn't say it's a bit rubbish. I said it's bodged.
Yes.
And it generally is bodged.
Okay.
Like everything is.
But from our point of view, we're like, oh my god, if I could ever get to that stage, that would be really happy with it, right? So you kind of have to kind of be aware of your own negativity that your internal voice can sometimes bring, right? It's not helpful and it's probably wrong. So just
everyone experiences like an imposter syndrome in everything, right? Like, and like even really, really, really talented people, you know, they'll come across those things where their sort of skill set or whatever, for whatever reason, sort of lets them down, and they'll have that voice that we all have that sort of tells you that you have no business doing X. Yeah. Right. And sometimes that, you know, that voice can be quite overwhelming, but it's like understanding that you can sort of work it away with those little victories. Massively. And take yourself back into those moments of creativity in whatever, and it's not just in crafting. I mean, that's a life thing, right? Like we all have those aspects that sort of call out to us.
We do this a lot when me and you talk, Ian, don't we? We end up talking about one thing to do with LARP, and then it completely boils down to like this general philosophy on life, right? Bits. Like it's all
all interlinked though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just blast through chat real quick because people have been writing stuff.
Sorry, Dave.
Benny says, shout out to the 30 miller Shatter Resistance ruler. I haven't seen one of those since I was 16. yeah, definitely. Shatter is actually a skill at Empire, Benny, so it's weirdly that you mentioned Shatterproof. God, I'd love a Shatterproof weapon. Also, I've been looking into resin to make crystals and dye, etc. It's a pretty easy thing to do. That's a cool idea, especially for a mage, right? Getting some crystals and stuff. Very, very cool.
Yeah, and resin is really fun as well.
Especially
when it starts clicking and it warms up and you're like, my magical potion.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
I've been looking into making some model making recently.
All of the stuff in these.
Hi, by the way. Sorry, I just want to say hi to Robert, who's just joined us. He's on his break right now, and he's come on to say hello. So thanks a lot for joining us.
Oh, because he's at work as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool, Ian. Yeah, I like that. Is that resin? Is it?
So this is resin with actually aquarium plants, just chopped up, just real cheap aquarium plants, chopped up and stuck in.
Clever little lad, you, Ian. Look at you.
Like that makes like these little potions like that you can then so these little fizz reps of potions and stuff that I'll be able to give out, of course, with the little Ashbourne alchemy.
We've got a new person in chat, Night117117. We haven't seen you before, I don't think, so thanks for joining us. YouTube mainly has YouTube. I think he's talking about swords here. Mainly has Big Boffer swords used in the US, but the Beast of Burden that does a really good work. Literally, Caro is Robert, and that's his channel. He also did a couple of videos recently with his son, and they're really good chats. I really enjoy them. I'm kind of biased because I get on well with Robert anyway, but I think it's like a really nice dynamic.
I think I got my rod from them.
Did you?
Yeah, for IC money, which was my first LARP weapon because I couldn't afford anything.
This is something awesome that. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
I got my rod from them for, I believe, 2 crowns. So
2 crowns.
Now that I am a grown LARPer, well, not and now that I'm a 1-year-old LARPer, I realise how ridiculously generous that was.
Yeah, he's a
so
good.
Thank you.
He's a
it's
good.
Still passing
he's a
check.
good egg. Is our friend Robert.
Good egg.
Right. He said. Life is LARP is life. So awesome. Yeah, I agree, George. There's loads of. I think this is one thing. I'm going to go off on a rant here. I'm going to stop myself really fast. But yes, there's loads of really interesting stuff to do with role play and playing stuff out, and how that could end up mirroring certain things in your own personality and life that you didn't even realize was actually happening at the time. It's a very interesting thing. We're not going to get bogged down in philosophy yet. It's only 9 o'clock. We'll save for the second half. Right. Carrie says, reminds me to chunk a load of 3mm foam offcuts I had in the car for you. Who are you giving the 3mm foam to? Is that Merlyn or Ian?
Ian, I assume.
Okay.
Yeah. I know nothing of
3mm. I don't think I've. But that was amazing. But
I missed a message from Mush here. Actually, he says, "Thank you, streamers, for all your cool advice. Thank you for coming along, dude. Like, this is we're having fun. If you're enjoying it too, then that's great, dude. It's a lot of the stuff that we do on the podcast is purely selfish because we enjoy doing it, right? So it's this isn't altruistic at all, right? We're having fun, you're having fun, it's all good. Right. Corva's like, Robert's chats are great. Yeah, totally. He makes some. Feels like Robert makes some good stuff. He really does. Caro's like, Caro says you had a bargain. Yes, for 2 crowns.
I did have a bargain.
Goodness.
Crazy. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's ridiculous because I bought like a little, just like a tiny little leather belt pouch, like not a pouch, but like a little bag with some bottles in it for my mage blood addiction. And that was 2 crowns, and I was looking at it and I was like, it's beautiful and it's worth the money, but also, huh?
Yeah.
What? This makes no sense. Currency makes no sense. I'm confused.
Ian, we just lost your camera, bud, if you want to refresh it.
Yeah, I'll come back in now.
So, Robert's amazing, gave me some good advice on making weapons, you legend. He is a legend. Yeah, I think definitely having Caro on at some point would be fun, right? Even doing another podcast episode with him. Ian Dave, just a glue. Feels like, yeah, that's a crazy price. Right, we have got to the bottom of chat, by the way. Oh, did I miss a question? Fuck, did I miss a question?
Phil asked something.
Oh, is Navarre the craftiest nation? Now, there's an interesting question, isn't it? And a controversial one. I'll let Merlyn answer that one first.
No.
Oof. What?
Because...
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
That doesn't make any sense. Because all the people at Navarre, not everyone at Empire, but a lot of people at Empire play multiple nations. So a specific crafty people aren't going to congregate in just one place.
Yeah, that's true.
I know, depending how you associate craftiness, because I've seen a lot of Winter Marker people with ridiculously intricate costumes because they've got all the rune stuff going on in their half magic. I've seen a ridiculous amount of detail put into that. It depends what you consider crafty.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's the Orcs planet, the stuff they make is mind-blowing.
Yeah, they are.
And the
very
fast
good.
post-craft stuff that I have seen is in a different way. So I don't know how much they do crafting themselves, except for my rest in peace icy parent, who is very crafty, but also the things I've seen them do when they're too hot to alter their costume on the fly, so crafty. I don't know if it's witchcraft or artycraft, but it is crafty as hell. But because everybody moves around the nations, or a lot of people do anyway, I don't think that there is one crafty nation.
I think that's a very good and diplomatic answer, which is very impressive. I would say maybe I'm going to be a little bit more controversial, and I'm going to agree with your points. The Orcs have some very intricate kit that they make themselves. Like talking to Matt from the Orcs Planet about it, it's even in their lore that they make all their own stuff. So there is a kind of like precedent for either making it yourself or altering something that already is there. And I think both of those things count as crafting. So Orcs definitely up there as the heavyweights, but again, I don't think there's an out-and-out winner. I think you can find examples of fantastic crafters in any nation, really.
My crafty Brass Coast parent has now become an Orc, so they've got another one.
That must have been painful. Right. As I recall, one of the first things I made was using camping foam mat. If it's still usable, and that's pretty awesome. That's Caro saying that, by the way. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think like going back to what we were saying earlier about you don't start off making something that's like fantastic. You might make something that is okay or even bad, but like if you keep chipping away at it, like any skill in life, you'll probably end up getting very good at it. Caro certainly is a very talented man, and his stuff nowadays is absolutely phenomenal. Navarre, the craftiest nation, you never see them coming. Yes. Well, if it's coming down to crafty like that, then I mean, obviously I'm quite a big fan of Navarre, so yeah, very, very crafty. Maybe not the political game, but during battles, you really can't trust us because we'll move around. And
I've seen some very cumbersome, clunky Navarre in my time, especially once they're drunk. That sneakiness can go very far out of the window.
Yeah. Very, very true. Are you saying that Navarre has a reputation for drinking?
I'm saying that when I'm drunk, I walk into a lot of people.
My
is what I'm saying.
In fact, the first time...
No comment on anybody else except for other people who've also walked into me. So
first time
yes,
we
maybe
met,
that is what I'm saying.
the first time we met, me and Ian were embarrassingly drunk. Like, embarrassingly drunk.
I
We
was
were
so
so wasted. I think that was the night
I'd
I'd
come
lost
back
the
from
election.
losing all of our money, dude.
Yeah. Oh,
I'd
what?
literally come back from losing all of our money.
Oh, God, yeah. I think that's the day I
That's
lost
when
the...
Oh, was that the Seawolf thing?
The elections, right? Yeah.
I was so drunk. And then I'd gone to Urizen, and then I don't even know where I'd gone after that. And then I came back, and it was post.
You're such a party lad. It's ridiculous, Ian. Like, I love it. It's so funny. Playing poker with mercenaries and warriors and rich folk.
It's good. It was a good time. It was a really good time.
I got
hustled hard.
Go on in.
No, sorry. That was.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I agree. The Seas Walls are brilliant. They're really nice people as well. Like,
Really
actually,
cool.
we mentioned them on the podcast, and they actually messaged me and were like really, really happy about like that our impression of them. But they really do add like a huge amount when they were giving that speech about why they should be hired. It was just like it was just so cool.
As a Vine, can I just say, 100%. They make my game so much better.
Yep.
And honestly, most of the time on the battlefield, it's me directly ignoring their suggestions, not orders, suggestions.
Yeah.
And just completely splitting, and them going, Vines, get back, and everyone going, no. But the fact that we have them to muster to saves our asses so much, because they're beautiful, spiky little spike-holding safety guards, and honestly... Oh, sorry.
And you, yeah,
you're
right in the feels there. I think they're really cool. They're an intimidating group as well, right? And they give confidence, like to people around them, right? Like it means that the whole Navari army can run off and be very Navari about everything, and fully know that the Vines, the healers, have the best chance of being protected, right? I think it's cool in a number of different ways, right?
Well, I think also. The cool thing about it is that they stand up and deliver that speech, to actually do it, right? Like that they kind of get themselves that part of the game, not through action, right? Like they, what I mean? And that's a really important aspect to LARP, right? Like you have to put yourself forward, and they do put themselves forward for things, and they have that role now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's something
they
that's
earned
kind
their
of,
place, right? They're not
Exactly.
a bunch of they're not playing badass mercenaries. They are badass mercenaries, right? They're not. You ever bump into people that like, I'm a deadly assassin. How many people have you killed? You know what I mean? Like they're not. You kind of have to earn that stuff, right? And also, I'm assuming most deadly assassins won't go around telling everyone that they are the deadly assassin, right? It's
Okay, right. So
yeah, they're more like a hitman that you meet in a bar,
time.
right? Like a kind of a $50 and they'll shoot your ex or whatever, like that sort of vibe. This is hilarious, by the way. First time I met Rob, he was propped up by Good Dave and Bungle. That's from Phil.
That's true.
That's a true story. George says drunk LARP stories are fantastic. Honestly, I can't wait to see a bunch of drunk people in the field wearing fantasy garb. Me too, George. I will be one of those drunk people.
I can only trade when I'm drunk. Because I gave away, when drunk, I gave away all of my mana crystals to the war chest. In one go, well, in two goes, I gave half of them away myself, and then there was a new player who felt bad and wanted to be in, so I just gave him the other half of the stack and was like, put them in the chest. Or like, give them to the guy. And so I just gave away all my mana, and I woke up the next morning and I had 13 mana crystals. And I don't know where they came from. And they were completely different cards. Like, they were the older print to the ones that I had. And I don't remember acquiring them.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the fact that there's nothing about that story that's surprising, right? Like that that definitely happens all the time, right? We got all the one. No, I don't know what you're talking about there. The drunk stories. Apologies. So he's saying we've all got one and they are great. Phil says I have yet to see them in combat and be impressed. Oh, Phil.
See who?
I think we're talking about the Seawolf.
Okay, well, can I just say, I see them in combat a lot. And I think I can understand where they're coming from in that it gets me impressed, because they're often not on the front lines. You know why they're on the front lines? Because they're doing their job.
Yeah, that's very true.
The Sea Wolves are one of very few mercenary groups that you can actually trust to not abandon you halfway through a battle. If they say they're going to be working with you, they will be with you. And if some other random field marshal or general is screaming at them to get to the front, they're very calmly, no, this is our job, we're staying here. This is our job.
I've heard stories about them. I've heard the stories about them holding the line when everything's gone horribly wrong and literally saving loads and loads of lives at their risk. Yeah, I think it's really impressive. Right, trading while drunk could be terrible. Could be a terrible thing for the buyer and the seller. Is too drunk to anything goes. Yes. Want a cupcake? That'll be 5 thrones. Yes, I think also if like someone offered me a kebab late doors as well, I mean, Jesus, I would. I get real.
Well, that's interesting, because me and my striding mate have been considering a business venture that revolves heavily around Greek flatbreads and kebabs. So that's lovely. For icy money, might I mention?
I'm definitely one of those people that my happiest time when I'm on a night out or something is like that one guy sitting by himself, just almost crying in joy, eating something in a dirty kebab house. Like that's, yeah, just so happy. Right, drunk purchasing of shoes is where it's at. Yeah, dude, like, wasn't that a challenge from Callum, the whole buying shoes? No, they don't, George, they don't buy, Tom, they don't sell shoes. Or was it Tom? Was it? But there was like a drinking challenge that. Yeah, sorry, you can go on.
Tom asked Matt if he could buy his shoes.
Yeah, and it turned out Matt has sold his shoes at Matt P, the guy who runs Empire, has actually sold his shoes at LARP, which is that was a weird question and an even weirder answer. I think we can all agree. Selling mead always goes well, but wait until Saturday, so the bars are empty on Friday. That's very, very true. Yeah, or getting married. Yeah, I might have got married under the influence of Goose Whisper. What of it? I mean,
all my money is from marriage.
What?
I'm not saying I'm a gold digger. I'm just saying that none of my thrones are mine.
That's such a good line.
Jesus, accidents happen all the time, right? Yeah, just I've tragically lost.
I have like 2 thrones and 4 crowns, and I can't spend any of it on a clear conscience because it's not actually mine. I've been told I can spend it, but I'm not sure yet.
We actually have a really good service in the Ashbourne where we'll actually remove guilt from money. It's cost you 10% of the value, but we'll easily be able to sort that out for you. Just let us know.
Nah, I think I can do it myself.
Okay, all right, not too guilty then.
No. I'm guilty because if I say I'm guilty, it redeems me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm pretty broke actually at Empire. I definitely need to make some money at some point.
We're pretty broke, to be honest.
Yeah, as a striding. To be fair, you're our main cash cow. I don't think, like, literally, who else in the group makes money? I must have made maybe 2 or 3 thrones over the course of 2 years, maybe something like that. But you have actually made all of the money. We do pool our resources.
But I have spent a lot of the money too.
You have, but I think that's worthwhile. Also, you collect all of our like herbs and things like that, right? So you have a giant stack of different things. Yeah, thank you for popping in, Robert. Thank you very much, dude. I hope the rest of your shift goes quickly, dude.
Yeah, have a good one.
Yeah, have a good one.
Okay, we've got a question. What's the best way to make IC cash? I've heard that running jobs is good. Interesting. Anyone who wants to take that first?
I reckon crafting and selling.
I think high ticket items, like your books, it was a lot of effort, but goddamn, like, so making something unique and something that people can RP off is like very, very valuable.
The thing is, like, if you can make something, and bear in mind, you've got time to sort of hone a craft a bit, and if you can sort of dedicate time to making something, I mean, you can make something worth 2, 3, 4 thrones, and you can actually come to your first event with that, and if you want to elevate, it's just a matter of like finding the right buyer, and you can sort of sort yourself out. I mean, there's lots of jobs you can do, like sort of being a runner or a mercenary and all these other kind of things. But if you just want to get cash, then yeah, you can certainly make something and sell it. I mean,
Phil says here we're sitting on 90 thrones and a fuck ton of white granite. Now you've given it away in that statement there. Being rich helps you get even richer at Empire.
Yeah,
right?
there's a strange thing that happens there, right?
Then you can go down the bourse. You can win a bourse seat by pooling your money with maybe some other rich people, and then gain a crap ton of resources, which are worth even more than what you paid for it. Right? Like it's a complete, like it's a hustle, right? And why not? But why not, right? Like if it's part of the game, so that's how it is. But just like in real life, rich people do get richer, and it's very hard to get rich money if you are poor to start with, right? It takes time. So also I would say think about why you want money, right? Like why does my character Gellert want money? He doesn't really want money, right? That's not my motivating factor in the game. I have enough money to go and get drunk and have fun in the evenings. I'm not in the Brass Coast, so I don't need to worry about trying to buy my way into a political thing. Anything I want to do at Empire as my character, I can talk my way into it through political means or friendship, right? So I don't know. It depends on what your motivations are, really. I think if you're so broke that you don't have money to buy some drinks, then that's definitely something that I would think about. But it's certainly not a motivating factor for me. Merlyn, what do you think?
As far as making money, I've no clue. I'm yet to work it out. Go marry someone in the Brass Coast. Get a really, really, really good agreement, because they will want a contract, but make sure it benefits you. Other than that, honestly, I haven't worked it out. So if you do work it out, tell me.
George is a good-looking lad, man. I think he's got an untapped resource there. Might have to give up some morals on the way through.
Do it.
But, you know, goddamn attractive people. Right, what we got here? Yeah, money finds money. Agreed, Phil. Okay, now about. Oh, is that Anna? That is Anna, right? Hi, Anna. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Chord progression of ivory daggers. I don't know what you mean by that, Phil. So I don't drink, and when I need money at Empire. I mean, you can also buy. It's not just drinking. It's also like you can buy snacks, and there's loads of other stuff, right? There's always cookies and a bunch of other stuff for sale. And there'll be people. You'll be surprised at all the different stuff that people sell that you might be interested in. For example, if you wanted to buy a really cool book on how to use your herbs and stuff for a very reasonable price, there's always nice people that will sell it to you, right? So it depends, right? Like I would say, do you need money? No. You do not need money. But if you want, yes. Oh, wow, look at that, Ian. That's a very nice book you got there. Isn't that a nice book? Have a flip through, Ian. Have a flip through. Look how much contents is in there. Like, oh, wow, there's so much knowledge I can learn there. Wow. Is that a table at the back, Ian? Is that a table at the back?
Yeah, it's a table at the back,
so it gives you a quick reference guide and stuff. That's how thoughtful and interesting. Oh, God, I would pay 10 pounds for that, I would say.
No, I mean... I think there is a truth to money does. I see money does buy you access to icy experiences, but also not having money buys you into icy experiences.
Yeah,
the same, because everything in LARP isn't it? Like for example, there was a buy-in to be on the poker table that I was part of. Right, that's a thing. So I had to have the money to be sitting at the table. Right, it was like a 2-throne buy-in or something. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Ian, you have ended up getting involved in an awful. You're like the one of those like charlatans. Too harsh a word, but like you're definitely punching above your weight and hanging out with those people, Ian. Like way above. Fancy Pants Tallis is writing checks his ass can't cash, right? So.
I'm only part of the secret societies, all right?
What? Why don't I get cool invites? I need to write a book on, I don't know, I don't even know what Gellert actually does and what he's good at this stage, but there's obviously someone that wants to make him join a secret society, right? Mush says, having seen that book, now I know I need the money. Yeah, very true, man. Yeah, it's but that's kind of what we're talking about here, right? So it's needs and wants, right? Like, so you might have something that you see. Also, lots of people might want other things rather than money. That sounds really bad, but like there's all sorts of different people who want stuff. Someone who's got loads of money might want you to do something for them because they don't have enough time.
Yeah.
So helping people
Exactly.
out is a very good way to do it. Also being like, dude, I'm broke. What you need doing is also a legit way to do things. I've got 2 and I love them. It's like chords. That's awesome. Anna says, haha, D, M, C, A, M. Oh, minus A minor, D minor for the verse. Tar, I want to get along with the SoundCloud. Thanks very much. Appreciate the support. Yeah. Do you want to, Anna, do you want to put your SoundCloud in the chat, by the way? Because your stuff's so good that I think it's definitely worth sharing. You're always welcome to promote your stuff on here, so go for it. Yeah, Anna's SoundCloud is getting me through the long dark. Been jamming out most days. Yeah, I think there's certain songs that really do bring me back to Empire, and they kind of just emote that feeling again. So even if we don't get to LARP this year, it's something that's very emotive and powerful. You know,
I was watching the Songs and Stories broadcast, and I'm just like, man, it's so good, right? Like it's, and I think we spoke about this on one of our first, I think it was like the first podcast that we spoke on it. Like, Songs and Stories is so good that it's like, it's kind of like you could pay the kind of money that is the entrance to Empire to go and see a folk festival.
2 nights a week, 2 nights of, you know
what I mean? And it's like it's really, really good. Like and like at a folk festival, you don't get to dance around a big ball of fire with a sword, right? So it's like
I've had some very interesting experiences. Like, remember that one where you'll stand up and you have to, like you were saying, you dance around the fire for a bit and then you hold your weapon up above the fire. I was so invested in that moment, right? Like any sense of like awkwardness or like self-consciousness, I was completely there in that moment, right? Like there's something really special about it. Also, drinking a lot helps when you get to that point in the evening, but like I love it. Also, you know, I love watching you when you get to that point where, and it happened to Good Dave as well, where you get that glazed look in your eyes, where you're you're off in the mountains and you're down in the dungeons and you're crossing the streams on a boat, and you're like you're living the adventure in your mind at that point. I think it's so great. Like, do you remember when Dave first went and he was like, we walked up and we were going on, oh man, Songs and Stories is so good, man, you got to go and see Songs and Stories, and he was like, no, I'm not really that interested, and he came along and he went to me, I'm not really that interested, and I was just like, oh man, well, stick around for 5 more minutes, right? I look back like 10 minutes later and he's got that same glazed look in his eyes, like he's away, and you know, it's a strong
I wish that would
force.
happen to our striding, because honestly, by the end of Songs and Stories, I'm like the only one left up, unless one of my friends Rosie's there. Otherwise, this is my prime. I'm going to make friends that I won't remember the names of, but they are now going to be my favorite people on the field for the next year, because
I love,
you know, when you lose all of your close striding friends, you have to replace them with drunk people.
there's a running theme here, Merlyn, of you replacing people in your life quite easily. Do you know what I mean? It's troubling.
Okay, replace is the wrong word. It's the wrong word.
So your words, not mine. So
yeah. Well,
right. Thanks.
I'm not replacing
Anna's
my
SoundCloud's in chat, by the way. I'm sure you've all seen that. Go check that out. We need to join Navarre next character. Yes, you do, Phil, and you'll be very welcome, sir. Hopefully we won't die and move nation, so we can actually RP a bit more together. But it's always nice seeing you on field anyway. Hut Armories. Hut Armories. Fuck, where does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
He's been on Sheep's channel a whole bunch.
Has he? Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for coming along here, dude. Like, we appreciate you coming along.
Very talented leather crafter. Well, all kinds of crafter, actually.
Really?
Post up some of your pictures.
Hold on. Let me move my camera away from what I'm crafting. Through I don't want to show myself off like that in front of a professional leather crafter. Right, Navarre, any people you might lose an eye dancing? Yes, you can. The dancing does get pretty fierce up in there, right? That's very, very true. Phil says, I always
dancing at Empire is such an odd experience for me, because dancing, it's just I can't dance, right? But I can't dance, not just physically I can't, but also if I dance in public anywhere other than Songs and Stories, I cry, and I don't know why, but I can't stop crying. Yeah,
That's amazing.
it's weird, right? I'm not even that anxious. I'm not upset. I just cry and I can't stop, and it's awful. So I don't dance.
Is it like an emotional
At
release?
Empire, I remember the only people who've ever convinced me to dance to songs and stories, like that have actually done it themselves, were the person who's my icy fiance and Al Bevan, the greatest egregore.
Yeah, man.
Because you can't say no, can you?
No,
really?
Al's
And I
the
didn't
best.
cry. I did not cry, and I've since danced on my own, and I didn't cry either. And it's still the only place that I've danced without crying, including on stage in the middle of a play, which was awful.
Wow, that's really interesting. I wonder what that mechanism is that makes that emotion bubble up outside of you. That's really interesting. We've got some links here from Heart Armories. Let me click on these.
Should check these out.
He's an Empire player as well, which is fucking cool.
Yeah, he's moved recently to Urizen.
Oh,
I'm gonna pop over onto that.
shit! Check out the first link, dude.
I know, I know.
Mama.
I know.
Oh my.
Some pretty bonkers stuff.
Get streaming, dude. We need to learn some stuff off you. My goodness, that shit's.
Can't see it, I'm jealous.
See if I can actually.
You could screen share, yeah.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna balls this up. Hold on. Let me try and figure it out. Talk among yourselves for a minute.
But yeah, I mean, I think like there's an awesome thing about like songs and stories where I've spoken about this in the podcast as well. It's like you get to play being your character, watching an awesome performance, right? Like, and you can kind of lose yourself in that because it's got that. It's not just that you're watching a performance, right? It's your character amongst other characters watching the performance. So it's like I remember me and Dave, we went to the Marches. I think it was it League? I can't remember. I think it might have been Marches, and they had like this kind of play that was on, and it's like all of a sudden we're watching a play as our characters in an audience of people who are all watching this play, who are all their characters. And it's just so weird. Like the dimensions to it just sort of like elevate it to another level. Yeah, it's so cool. And it's like, I remember I had this fear that people were out to assassinate me for various reasons, which of course were none of my fault. But that
was a good time.
And I was at songs and stories. And all day there'd been these people who I'd kept seeing who might potentially have been the assassins. And I saw them at Songs and Stories and they were all looking at me, right? So I thought, oh, fuck, right. So I sort of put my sword kind of on my lap, like real slow and just like relaxed. I put it on my lap. And then Kjartan, who's played by this guy called Jason, who's an absolute ledge, by the way. Just a fantastic player, amazing personality. And Kjartan was just like an awesome character. Unfortunately died. But he's like sitting next to me and like he pulls out a weapon and puts it on his lap, and then it's like all of a sudden all these other people like pulling out weapons and sort of like gearing themselves up for potential like something going wrong, and nobody knows what is actually happening, right?
Like a bunch of gangsters with their hands on their guns, right?
Yeah, the best thing is like nothing happened, right? Like and all the while there was like the awesomeness of Songs and Stories going on. It was so cool. And it's just like you wouldn't get that, well, not any way that wasn't absolutely mind-bogglingly scary in real life, right? But in LARP, that's a thing that you can experience. It's so cool.
It's the ambience. I think this goes for music generally. Oh, by the way, this is if you see here, this is Heart Armory's stuff there on screen. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. He does stream.
Really
I've followed you. Definitely gonna try and enjoy that if I can, basically. Let me stop streaming that. Yeah, I think there's something to be like just generally music at Empire. It can really help, even if you're not conscious of it, can really help set the scene for you, because there's loads of bards all over the place. Like wherever you go, there's, even in the middle of the day, you find different people performing in one way or another. Maybe it's music, maybe it's a play. Like it's pretty cool.
I mean, I've spoken about it a bunch of times, but I think there's something I like to do every time I go to an event, which is just occasionally just to sort of take a step back and just let myself enjoy the sound scape and the visual scape of what it is to literally be at this crazy event. Because you can kind of get so lost in like, you know, I'm walking to X place to do Y thing. But sometimes you just sort of have to take a step back and be like, isn't it just so fucking awesome that everyone's so invested and this place is alive and it's, you know, it's humming with like creativity and creative people.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful place to be a part of. I mean, and all of these different elements, you know, the costumes, the characters themselves, you know, the songs, the plays, the props, everything. It's amazing.
Do you ever have the thing where you're lying in bed and you're like, I do this a lot when I'm at Empire, and I'll be listening to the ambience of what's going on at the end of Song and Stories or whatever it might be, and I'll just have a little grin on my face in all wrapped up in my little rucksack. Yeah, rucksack? It's not that small. Yeah, that's how I sleep. I just prop up a rucksack and get inside and close the lid. Use the little zipper.
No, yeah, that's very true. And it's like, it's all of the things, right? Even when it's like a not really bad rain, but say if you're just in your tent and you're kind of sort of chilling out in those kind of few 5 minutes where you just want to sort of like, you know, take yourself out of the moment.
Yeah.
You can hear it all in the background, and you'll have the little tinkle of rain on your tent, because I'm not the kind of guy who goes camping or has ever done the whole camping thing. So I get to experience that as well.
Yeah, even if that is the Rusty Compass, way too late trying to flirt with some girls, singing some songs like that. It's fucking hilarious.
I don't mind that.
Like,
the Rusty Compass.
Rusty Compass can do no wrong in my eyes. Yeah, definitely. Those guys are fucking hilarious and nice fellas, from what I understand as well. Heart Armory says, "Come and get a drink in Eurozen next event. I'll be foraging in the field, so come." Sound of hammering. No way. That's fucking awesome.
Last time we had our first event, David, I don't know if you remember, I mentioned this to Hot last when I was on Sheep's thing. When we were walking through Wintermark, there was a guy with an anvil. I'm not sure if you remember this.
Right.
And it was, I think we were going there to the bar that we'd heard was there, and it was like one of the first bars we were going to. But there was a guy hammering away on an anvil there. That's Hut. And I remember turning to you and saying, "This is fucking awesome."
Yes, I do remember. I remember that walk. But it was just a lot to take in. But yeah, come and have a drink in Eurozen. I don't. It doesn't go well when I go and drink in Eurozen. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of Ian's thing anyway. Like it's kind of Ian's little like fun place that he likes to go to on his own, and I kind of respect that. Maybe I'll definitely like to come down and see you doing some hammering in the day though. But yeah, night.
Yeah, and head up to Navarre as well, Hut.
Yeah, definitely. Hut says, "Now I want to make a scabbard." Yeah, dude. Dave has no poise. No, I do not have any poise. Especially like late doors. I'm like, way. Like literally.
Late doors?
Like late at night. Like
Oh, okay.
Sorry, yeah, that's a. God, I don't even know where I came up with that one. Yeah, the yeah, that's weird. Huh. Yeah, no one. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, Callum was there and I hugged him. That was kind of like an OC thing, because I was kind of like being a bit Dave while he was drunk when I was up there. But it was really, really nice. But they basically politely asked us to leave, didn't they? Because we walked in that tent and they were like,
yeah, that was funny.
"Why are you here?" And I'm like, "I'm here with that guy." And they were like, the whole room was just staring at me. Like the whole tent was just like in silence as well. And it was just like, no, I hugged people later. Actually, I hadn't even got to the point where I was hugging. They were already like that before I started hugging people. So, Anna says, "Oh man, that's something I love being a bard at Empire, is knowing that you're providing so much ambience and color for other players." Massively. Also, like, it's infotainment a lot of the time as well, where you'll be singing a song about a character or an event, which really adds flavor to everything about it, right? I think that's amazing. Hut says, "Don't worry, Citadel of the Scarlet Guard don't really count as Eurozen. The rest of them hate us." That's hilarious. I love Eurozen Sentinel archetype. Me too. Our friend, fuck on, my mind's gone blank now. What's his name?
Callum.
No, not Callum. No, not Callum. The guy from Southend.
Oh, Phil, do you mean?
The guy from Southend. Who?
Oh, Brad, do you mean?
Brad. I love him so much. He's like this.
Thespian's an amazing character.
Fuck, he's so like not what you'd expect to be a Eurozeni, but he's just like, he is a Eurozeni and he hits his archetype so well. He's just like, let's just go and kill him. And I love him. He's amazing. I really enjoy him, especially among the other Eurozen, where he's kind of like, yeah, I think he's a cool guy. Yeah, sorry, yeah. What were we talking about before I so rudely interrupted? Anything?
I can't remember. As
Oh yeah,
how's
ambient.
your, yeah.
Sorry, Ian, you were about to ask a question then. What was it?
Yeah, how's your suit going? I saw you had like a whole bunch of plates done.
I have. Well, now I have more than that. I've made like over 200 and something now, which fills this whole bag up. And you can actually see inside.
That's pretty bonkers.
Come on, Dave. You can figure this out, Dave. Stop being so stupid. Right. So we move the light. There we
I
go.
don't have the patience for this. Honestly, I'm impressed because I wouldn't be able to do that. I considered Lamela for a while, then I was like, no.
I think it's more like kind of at that stage where, like Ian said before, it's a simple task that I can repeat over and over again. It's a talentless task. I literally use a stencil and a design that Ian gave me, and I sticky stuff it together, and then I draw around it and I do it. So what I tend to do with it is, if I'm watching TV or something that I'm not that interested in, you know how you do, and I'll basically be doing that in the background. So I do it for a couple of good things. One, it's nice to do a task and then complete it because it makes me feel a bit more like I'm actually doing something, which is good. Also, it's simple, so I don't need to really concentrate on it. I'm not going to balls it up if I mess up 1 or 2 plates out of so many. It doesn't matter.
A really good thing about
Also, there's something to be said about like it's something done in a lot of like religions and meditation and all that sort of stuff where you do a repetitive action that's simple, but something that you kind of have to put certain amount of your mind to, and then you can kind of go into a bit of a flow state by doing it repetitively for a long time. So I could do this for an hour and that hour would fly by and I'd be lost in my own thoughts and thinking about something else. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. I kind of enjoy the process. Granted, some days there are like, I hate it and I don't want to be doing it anymore, and then I stop doing it and then go and do something else. So I try not to force it, basically. So
I have a bunch of stuff on the go. I find that really helps, which actually was normally a terminal condition for most other creative pursuits I've had in my life.
Right.
Where I would just endlessly start things and never finish things. But I have found that like having a good collection of jobs to sort of cycle through has been very good. Like I have 2 sets of armor on the go, and I've obviously had all of the stuff for my alchemy set on the go too, and then like in a couple of silly things like I've been writing some songs and stuff which I'll probably never perform and a whole bunch of things like that. Well, I know I probably will, but I mean, with quarantine, it'll be interesting. Like, I was really gutted. Like, I had this song, this Irizeni song, that I really wanted to sing at the player event we were going to, because it was like a big part of my character, and unfortunately, the player event got cancelled.
I forgot about that.
So I'm hoping
you've got a couple of good things.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see you do the one about the doctor. That's really good. Though let's not go into it now, but yes, Ian, we should definitely do that at some point soon.
The ballad of the shaky-handed physic and his patient who disappears.
It's a 2-person performance, and it involves like hopping around by the end. It's good fun. Right, here we go. So basically, I'm playing a plate armor archer, aka the most annoying thing on the battlefield. That is true. That's the closest to being a troll you can get to on a battlefield, I think, is being an armor-plated archer. Interesting mix. How's the mobility?
I'm sorry because I use them as...
Sorry, you broke up there a bit.
Quite...
We're having problems with your mic there. Sorry. Okay, so Mosh says, as someone who knits, I get the pleasure from the repetitive action, and you can semi-focus on, or listen to a podcast or playing D&D or something. Yeah, I also do this. Ian can hear me punching out holes when we're playing D&D. I often do this while playing D&D, like 100%.
I do the same.
Especially when you're waiting for other people to talk. Like, shut up, let Teddy get involved for fuck's sake. All right, I'll, you know what I mean? It's, Jesus, so selfish. Just let my character do all the talking, for God's sake. Right, heart armories.
Teddy does do all the talking.
I do, yeah. I have to say to this party, like, if at any point I'm going on too much, you just let me know and I'll reel it back. But I think most people enjoy it, right? I do try and give people a break.
Good sport.
Hut says, I have the ability to make plate that fits, so it's designed with a breastplate and widely open spots for the arms, so it works well. That's fucking cool. Much. As a person who makes chainmail, can confirm once you get into the groove, it works pretty well. Yeah, I think there's something like I think there's something quite relaxing to the whole process. A lot of the stress of it comes from before you do it or after you do it, right? Like the actual process of doing it is very relaxing. I think that's true for a lot of arts and crafts generally, and that's why it's so popular, really.
I think like when there's a time period that you have to work to, like a deadline, and you know that can cause stress, although that can focus the mind too. But like especially in this moment, it's like a really good opportunity just to sort of hone down into a bunch of different things. And as I say, if you want to make that thing to sell, to make yourself some icy coin, or just to give away, right? I'm thinking I'm probably just going to give away some things. I don't know what yet. But
I really like the idea of doing. I really like the idea. It would be nice just to give it away to a new player, but I do like the idea of doing some sort of a challenge and creating game for somebody else.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that.
Even if we talk to the egregores and say like, whoever is the most virtuous this weekend or something, or something like that, and we just let different people have a vote, or let other people let us know, like if someone did something, then to come up and tell us what they did, and then we'll make a judgment off that, right? Because we won't have the eyes and ears all over the place, but it would be really cool to kind of give it to a deserving player.
I was thinking of the vines actually being that they're a new archetype, and obviously being a physic myself. Like I might make something for them, like in some way, you know, that then they can kind of give out to somebody. I don't know,
like what sort of thing?
Who's deemed worthy in their sort of set. I don't know. Like I honestly don't know. I just like Talus is in a place where, you know, he kind of was part of that whole physic kind of bubble for quite a while, but has kind of migrated to becoming more of a Navarcha. So yeah, I think like there's. I had a nice chat with some of the people who sort of found the whole thing, and I was like, oh, you know, so I'm gonna kind of go and play with these kids instead, kind of thing. And they were all really cool about it. So yeah, it's kind of like it would be nice to kind of represent that kind of part of Talus's background somehow, and like come back.
The vines are so helpful, and an often overlooked group, right? Yeah.
Well, they're quite new. I mean, you can talk about this, Meryl, because obviously that's kind of a group that you're actually part of, and they're just a really nice sort of. I like the idea that we've made a new archetype, right?
Yeah, definitely, and it's something that I don't think anyone would really argue with, right? I think it makes a lot of sense. Hold on, let's have a look here. All my raffle lot got used up on the first LARP raffle. Oh, did you win? That's awesome. I won the Dark Blade armor set. It was amazing. Holy shit, dude. Congratulations. Wow. Oh my god. The giant bell tent, you know, the giant like imperial tent that they're giving away on the raffle. Oh my god.
It's like, ridiculous.
Oh my god. I want it so much. I want a fucking stove in my tent. I'll just be sitting there. I'll be sweaty, man. I'll be in bed like, oh, it's too hot. Open the tent flap door, Ian, and put another log on the fire in because we're far too warm in here. Yeah, I think I love the fantasy of owning that tent. Obviously, like the odds aren't terrible for all of it, but it is an expensive buy-in. But
I want a tent with an ups.
Sorry, say again.
And I know they exist because my dad's made one.
A tent with what?
An ups. So if you get like a wooden A-framed, you can have like canvas here. So
Oh, your mic's cutting out a little bit, I'm afraid. Can you lift the mic up and then back down again on the side piece? Yeah, up and then down again, all the way down. Yeah, now try speaking. No, it's gone. Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Wait.
Oh, no, you came in. You came in there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hold it.
Oh, it's a bit janky. Oh, no.
Might be worth maybe rejoining the stream. Maybe
that's a good thing. Maybe leave Discord, then come back in again. Maybe see if that fixes it. Shout in. You don't know.
Sorry about that.
Oh, the breastplates are cool. That's very true. Oh, it was the best thing ever. Won a nice set of armor, although we'll be able to wear it as a mage, which is sad. George, you could probably say, "I'll hold on to it, mate," and then think about a next character for it. You know, like that's good. And a good monstering option. Right? Yeah, Anna says that as well. Next line, which is good. I've seen a pair have a couple of tickets. Corva's like, hands off, it's mine. Fair enough, dude. I think whoever wins it is it's. I mean, it's just a cool thing that it's even out there, right? Like, it's great.
I think the cool thing about the tents that they do on those raffles is, like, armor's awesome and everything, right? But armor is something that is maybe slightly more subjective to a character's needs anyway.
Yes, very much.
But like
so.
A tent can be absolutely transformative. Like, if you're someone who's, you know, that's probably the most expensive thing, the thing that stops people from being able to camp IC, all of those various other aspects, right?
I think
a tent can suddenly change your game and everyone else's game that you're part of the group with.
We've been talking about... Hi, Merlyn.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, you can hear me now. Fantastic. Oh my god, I was so worried there for a second. My god.
No, I have like 6 other pairs of headphones. It's just they don't have, they're like normal phone ones. So
I think you sound louder. Actually, I think that's a great switch. To be fair,
you guys are louder.
You guys are louder. You are louder. No, you guys. I mean, God, use the words, Dave. Fuck, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, we're getting to the point. Sorry, we're just talking about giant tents, by the way. We were getting to the point where we're kind of at that decadent stage where we were talking about getting an additional tent and then using a tent as an IC tent. Like that's where we're at right now. Is we have musings about that as a conversation. Obviously, it means that we'll have to deck the whole tent out with a whole bunch of IC items, and we already have issues with storage as a striding, but I like that, Ian. The idea of Talus, we'll see you now, and then you pull back the tent flap, and then you get let in into Talus. Like, I love that idea. Like, it's
spins around in the chair.
Exactly. Exactly. Please take a seat. Wearing his fancy sash, drinking out of like a big old goblet. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, scheming away.
All these kind of... I'm not that bad schemer, am I? Not that bad.
Ian, I'm not qualified to comment.
It's literally in your nature. It's like, you can't help it. It's something you do. You don't do it maliciously, but it's just something that you're born... It's in you, Ian, and it's no way you're gonna... What happened there, Merlyn? You seem to be struggling with something.
No, it was good. I just looked down and I was like, oh no, I've run out of thread, but it's fine because I finished the last stitch and just forgot that I did it.
Huzzah!
So that's... Because I have no more.
Do you want to show off what you're working on?
I haven't really done very much.
It's fine. Don't worry. This is the most crafting I've done on the stream so far. I think I made, 2.5 plates last time.
Okay. So I've started doing the wood texture for like my tree thingy.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's a bit barky.
And you're using, is that pyrography that you're using there?
Yeah, but because this is fake leather, it doesn't burn really, it just melts and, you know, it gives off a load of fumes. That's fine. I open the window. If I get loopy, you know why.
That's fine.
But yeah, so I've been doing that and then just finishing my stitching.
Oh, cool. Very, very
cool.
I
saw some pictures of your pyrography, actually, Merlyn. It looks really good. Like, because Dave's been doing a bit as well, and like...
let's not talk about myself.
Hey, you're all... No, I think, like, to be fair, I think it's actually, like, the one you did of the ship is really good. And it's like, it's kind of like one of those things that I did...
I appreciate that, bud.
Like, ages ago. And it's like, it's a nice kind of... It's a fun skill, actually, because it's got this kind of quite organic quality to it, and it's fire, right? And what's not cool about that?
Let's see if I can do the brainy thing. There we go. Boom. Right, here's a ram that you made there, which is, I think, is absolutely awesome. Look at that. How cool is that? These next camping ones. Anna wants to buy
it's fun doing it on leather because there's no grain in it. So when you're doing it on wood, you might have noticed this. Like, you'll get to a bit that's, you know, it's a ring, like it's harder wood, and it does like a bump over it because it doesn't burn at the same rate. Whereas leather is smooth, but it does stink.
Chat just blew up with how much they like your RAM, by the way. I think that's fantastic.
Thanks. Well, that was my original plan for this. I was going to do it in that leather and then like pyrography the whole thing, but I never did.
Could you just turn?
I don't have the leather with me.
Could you turn your camera off and on again, please, Merlyn? Because we seem to have lost you. I wonder if I have. I can't. I can't. Shall I try and find the ship? Maybe I should try and find the ship, and we'll let chat decide. Chat are far too nice, though.
You've got a picture of it, haven't you?
Yeah, I think. Let me see if I can find it. Did I upload it to Facebook?
You sent it to me ages
ago.
ago.
Go on the messenger conversations. You can look at pictures that you've sent.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because you've at least sent it to me.
Yeah, and then you sent me yours, and then I was like, oh no, oh no. To be fair,
did you do that with like one of the soldering iron ones?
Yeah, the cheapest one you can buy.
Yeah, no, because that's pretty impressive. Because they lose heat so quickly. They're so temperamental. Like I've got a proper, like, temperature thingy.
Yeah, it would be nice.
It's not mine. It's my friend's, but they left it at my house, so I'm using it.
It'd be nice to get one because
it's yours now.
But it's more like that. You're right, and you have to kind of like really fuck around with the temperature. You have to be like, like I had to do like a dab on another bit of wood and then immediately apply it. So there's a kind of added complexity to doing it. Hold on. Have we really chatted this much, Merlyn?
You could, if you just click on like the little eye in the circle, then scroll down, all the pictures are there in a block with no text.
That's making me feel dumb.
Yeah, on the actual messenger thing, not in the actual.
Oh, I have to open the actual
tool.
tab thing. Yeah, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I can do this. I'm not a boomer. I can figure this out. There we go. Cool.
I'm gonna rejoin again.
Okay.
And Discord.
Right, here we go.
There we go.
Here we go. Right then, so let's try and share my screen again. Right, here's my ship. Ta-da! Oh, yeah, it's not terrible, is it? It's quite good.
Come on now, I think that's legit.
Yeah.
It's good.
I like it actually. Huh, that's funny. Ah, I do like that.
I told you when you sent it, it was legit.
Ah. Yeah, okay.
Did
Yeah.
good.
Do you know what? We've been chatting on all stream about how you should have confidence in your own stuff and then your internal voice is probably wrong. Yeah, 100%. Look, I even did the the what's it called? The sails are really good, little background, almost like it's at night maybe. Yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah, all right. I need to add that.
To be fair, I think
Yeah, go for it
when
now.
you did that as well, and I've only just noticed now, but after you sent me the picture of that on leather, I did a picture of like a mermaid sat on a rock, and there's the same type of ship is like in the sea in the background, which I've only just noticed.
That's
awesome. Really funny.
That's
I
cool.
feel like
You could do
accidentally-
something really cool with armor. Like, you know, if you got both those pieces, you could make like a cool armor piece, like telling a story somehow or something.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. Yeah, I need
Well,
to
I've got quite a
get
lot
those
of
back
that
out again.
leather.
His yeah. Anyway, let's stop.
But just not with me.
Yeah, cool. That's cool, Dave.
Are you going to do anything with that, Dave? Are you going to like put it on a pendant or something? Like
I
a
was thinking
necklace or
pendant.
something, or?
I'm definitely starting to get to like, I don't know, I have a lot of shit around my neck now because I got given that thing by Fowl, which is really cool. I've got my seashells.
That's cool.
Like I chink around when I walk around now. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to be able to sneak up on anyone. Thank you very much, guys in chat. That's really nice of you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know really. A belt charm. Ooh. Yeah, maybe attaching
like
it to
that.
something or putting it in some
Yeah,
sort of
have it on your belt would be cool.
what do you call it where you kind of I don't know the right word for it, where you attach it but there's a word for it.
Like a lanyard? Is that what you mean?
No, like it's where, like if you were like you know, like you have it in jewelry where you set it, but you basically do something like that but with like maybe something more like with leather or some sort of strapping maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could even make it into kind of like a wind chime, right? Like a wooden wind chime using a bunch of things like that.
Anna
That might be
says
kinda cool.
Narrel has a lot of shit on her belt. Yeah, this is what's cool about Navarre, isn't it? You end up being kind of one of those kleptomanic you know, teenagers where you just add stuff to your outfit constantly and it makes you that much better. I think one of the things
The
that
really cool thing of
Sorry, go
carry
on.
on.
No, you go in.
The kind of cool thing about your character's growth, right, is that you'll have these things that you acquire over time, and they actually, you know, they're not just items, right? There's stuff that's story, like living story, that's part of your kit.
Massively. The
that you
gift I
kind of
got from
gained.
the gift I got from Fowl is so nice. What's the inscription say on it again? I forget now. Do you know? do you have fear to act or something like that? It's like it's a call to
Yeah,
arms type thing. And it's
Yeah.
a really nice thing. And it's also like when you show up at I showed up at the Orcs and was trying to get in there so I could go and see someone. I went, what do you want here? And I went, I'm here to...
Not simply walk into the Orc.
No, you do not want to do... Well, unless you have a golden ticket. And then basically I walked up there and they went, I'm looking for Fowl. And he went, why do you want to speak to Fowl? Who's Fowl to you or whatever? And I just went, I picked up the pendant and showed it to him. I went, well, he gave me this. And they went, well, through you go. If you need anything at all, just let us know. And I was just like, I've got a golden ticket. I was just like skipping through the camp, like having the best time. It was really nice. Yeah, sorry, chat. I have a few bits of fur and random crap when I was a Minton Mocker. Yeah. And there's like so many pouches. Yeah, you can't have enough. Because most kit doesn't have pockets, pouches and bags and things like that become really
I've
valuable.
got so many pockets.
Why? Why do you have
I
pockets?
just sewed them into
Oh.
all of my costume has pockets in it now.
Clever.
Because I was wearing so many pouches that it was kind of hurting. Because I had like a lot of shit in them because I never like going back to the tent because we don't have an IC tent.
Right.
And I ain't about that walking all the way back.
No, that's a long way, right?
Yeah.
So
Dude, that's
my normal trousers have pockets, own extra little hidden pockets into everything.
yeah.
Cool.
Another
And
thing
also,
is
as
like
well, if you're going to go on battle, belt pouch.
Oh, try again. I think you just broke up a little bit there.
Okay. When you go to battle,
Yeah.
having all those belt pouches is quite annoying sometimes. So all my pouches are on a secondary belt that I can take off.
That's pretty
That isn't
clever.
connected to the rest of it.
That's another thing. Like when we're talking about costume, kit is a better way to look at things, right? Like how is it going to practically help you? Going quickly back to having.
I have
loads of...
this.
Oh, go on. Sorry, go on.
So I have this kind of test, which is like, can I? Basically, well, it sounds kind of weird, but I'll dress up in my full kit, and I'll try and perform basic actions while wearing my full kit. And the rule is I can't put anything on the floor.
Well, I think
Because if I put it on the floor, I put it in the mud, and that's no good.
But
So,
Ian, you
like,
had a,
it simulates the effect of doing that.
Your stuff got really, really big at one stage. I knew it was an issue for you having mobility, especially being an archer. Like you needed to kind of scale back, and I think you did a really good job in kind of like.
So I've got like this kind of bandolier now that I have, which has got all my physics stuff in it, for example. Because being a physic and an archer, it's a lot of stuff to carry around.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your bow.
Well, you're effectively two roles combined into one, right?
Yeah,
and
both of them are quite kind of equipment intensive. Well, they can be anyway, if you try. You can do things lighter. But it was kind of interesting thinking about it as a logistical challenge. Like, how do I actually make this the experience kind of easier on myself? And there's like part of it is you want to be able to go to the bathroom, right, without like horrendous problems. But also, yeah, as I say, just give yourself like, can you like walk around in your kitchen and perform normal tasks in your kitchen, like obviously with no fire and stuff going on, but like, can you do that without actually having to put any of your battle kit down on the ground? And I find that's like, no, it sounds dumb, but that's literally what I've done before.
Yeah,
just to prove that my kit logistically works.
I was laughing at Phil because he just mentioned you being the hero of Bracheliandi, and so
yeah. And that's what the hero of Bracheliandi does.
Made me chuckle.
He makes tea in full armor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think the high watermark of that would be trying to go to the loo in one of those little porta cabin things without anyone else's help, because we literally have to go and give all of our there's always people standing outside with armed to the teeth, like carrying all the weapons, because it's impossible to take them into the loo with you. But man, like going to the loo in a cape, all of that action is just
holding a sword in your teeth.
Fucking hell! It's in your teeth. That's hilarious. Like a pirate.
Well, there was nobody with me, and I didn't dare put it down anywhere. I can't really see in the dark because my eyes are awful. So I was just like holding it in my teeth.
And don't ask. Sorry, chat. By the way, I've kind of missed a whole bunch of chat, and I'm struggling to kind of keep up, so you'll have to forgive me.
A really crazy one is
hold on, Ian.
When you think about, sorry. Okay.
Anna just asked, dare I ask, how did he become the hero of Bracheliand?
All right. Well, shall I tell the story, or do you want? It seems very egotistical for me to tell the story.
Why don't you tell your version of the story, and I'll tell my version how I understand it.
Okay. Well, my version is like we've gone on this there's this skirmish. I should bring the camera up, I suppose, because this is pretty embarrassing.
Get a
really.
face cam. No, Ian, don't even try that shit right now, okay? No, you don't get to do that. Like, just tell the fucking story.
Okay, so basically we got on this skirmish to go into Brigeliand and take out these heralds who were basically stirring up a lot of problems there, and it was supposed to be a pretty heavy one, and it just so happened that I kind of saw it at a pretty reasonable distance, and I fired an arrow at it and just took it down straight away, and then it was killed. So it kind of basically ended the skirmish like pretty much straight away. But it was just like one of those things where it's like, I mean, I meant to hit it obviously, but it was like, yeah, it was just so funny. Like, and then it just sort of ended the whole thing, and like, oh, okay, right, we're off home then. And yeah, so then people
blimey,
were kind
Governor.
enough to
Do you know
call
who
me
that
the
man
hero
is
of
with the
Brigeliand.
bow? It's the hero of Brigeliand. No, it can't be. I heard that he was 7 foot tall. He was. No, that's him with his giant bow. He fired it and he killed a herald like a hero. Standing behind all those people bravely fighting in front of him, he stood 20 feet back and fired a lucky shot, which happened to hit some chap in the chest who died, and then everyone left.
Fucking hell, I'm getting lit up here, guys. No, it was it was one of those things, right? Like, honestly.
Blimey, Governor, is that really him? No, it couldn't be. He wouldn't be drinking in a place where we would drink. He's the hero of Brigeliand. We kept that up for like a whole weekend, by the way. After it happened, we just
I have to live with this all the time.
It was fucking hilarious. It was.
We get fucking just ruined by these guys. It's like, oh fuck, no. But it was like.
We were trying to get you a line in the Navarch's song, weren't we? We were trying to get you your own verse just specially for you for taking one poxy shot. Very impressive, Ian. We're all very impressed.
Yeah.
A little salty there, Dave. No, not at all. It's really funny. It's really funny. Also, just to do that, like, when other people are around, it's hilarious. Like, just
we need to get you an awful title now. I've got an awful title as well.
Hey, it's not an awful title. It's a fucking awesome title.
Okay,
see, this is what I mean. He
acts
all like, "Oh no, I'm so bad. It's only a silly little." But then when you get down to it, he's like, "I'm a fucking bad motherfucker. Like,
I'm a hero.
I am the hero of Brigeliand."
Yeah,
Fuck
no,
y'all.
you
Do you know what I mean?
You
Like,
fucking got me.
I mean, you are. You did the thing.
You did do the thing.
So it's not a lie.
Ian, now be honest. Did you coin the phrase "the hero of Brigeliand," or was it somebody else?
Someone else did. I wouldn't do it to myself. Obviously, that's crazily bonkers. What's that face, Dave?
I mean,
anyway.
It didn't sound convincing, and I don't know why, but it didn't.
Arms like tree trunks.
Wow.
He found a magical arrow in the legit skirmish quest. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's excellent stuff.
Oh, dearie me.
Lloyd's here, by the way. He says he didn't just kill one herald, he impaled one, and the arrow kept going and killed another. Rumor has it the arrow's still out there killing heralds to this day. The whole weekend, and it wasn't just me, by the way. It seems like I was the one doing it the whole time. Like, everybody was doing it. It's just and more of these, by the way. If you like, I find them so funny. Fortunately, the only time
I don't
fame or infamy was at an
funny.
event as monitoring as an archer. Yeah, that's cool. Gonna get Ian a t-shirt with Hero of Brigeliand on it. Please do. I will help kick in for that. Like, absolutely. Navarre's answer to Robin Hood. No, me and Bung piled on him too. He shouldn't have killed the herald, in my opinion. That's hilarious. Sorry, what's your nickname, by the way? What's your title?
Okay, so may I point out, I've only executed one person.
Wow.
Right?
What person or monster?
Okay, I don't remember. I think it was an orc, but it might have been an orc slave. I'm not sure. I didn't really check. But anyway. But during national training, I like to come up with creative ways to execute people because we had the whole discussion of, you know, slitting people's throat or stabbing people in the chest is, you know, a lot of people don't like that. It can make people feel uncomfortable, and it's boring.
Yeah.
So we were thinking about different ways to do it. So we had a whole thing about like just like chatting shit to people basically, and then there was one where we were breaking everybody's limbs and ruining the body to the point where even if they were inhabited, it wouldn't be usable.
Chopping up bits,
so there was a lot of weird shenanigans of it.
It's a very Navari conversation.
And then because of that, Anwin and a couple other people called me Aisha the Executioner, and then Anwin decided to testimony it into my soul.
That's
now, but the thing is, that's a lot of pressure because you've got to keep up with the testimony, otherwise it can have negative effects. So I've got to keep executing people. I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds like
to make a specific effort to always be executing people. It's like,
oh
well.
Here I go killing again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm a healer. I'm a lover.
If you ever get really desperate, right? If you ever get really desperate, there's somebody in pain in front of you. You can just be like, "Oh, sorry guys, this is something I've got to do."
Yeah, but only if they're high guard.
Wow. I'm
high guard of the worst nation.
Wow.
Sorry, Phil.
Wow, Phil.
Sorry.
I just want to say that
I've only ever let 2 people die. I've only ever walked away from 2 people.
I just want to.
Both of them were high guard.
I just want to say.
I've never walked away from anyone.
I want to say Merlyn's views are her own and do not represent the views of the podcast in any way, shape, or form.
But they are the right views.
Do represent the views of
If
Navarro.
anyone's a dick, you're healing them, shank them, and no one
We're all pretty ruthless bastards.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm trying to go for the unelectable. I'm going to try and get in. If I can convince another senator to get me up for another position, I worry that one time I might win.
And not get it.
Like, no, I worry that I'll win something I don't want and then do get something. You know what I mean? Like, because that would be the fucking worst if I got like elected to something that I was like, oh shit, I didn't actually want to get that. That would be bad if there was like a bad turnout or something, which I don't think is a massive issue nowadays, really, because of the amount of players. So there's always going to be a nice amount of competition, whatever happens. Like for the ambassador one, there were like, how many people were there? 5? 6? 6?
No, 6 people.
Yeah. And then what for the other one was against the Fenny? There were at least 4 or 5 there. So there's always, you know, a nice amount of people. Not that I think you can win by accident, to be honest, but you know, depends how bad the incumbent is, really.
Don't break my desk.
Is it your desk?
No, it's actually not my desk.
It's both a problem and not a problem.
It's a problem, it's just not my problem.
Yeah.
But I am going to get blamed for it.
Not all high guard are the same. My chapter actually
not all high guard are the same. I will accept that.
Our chapter actually like Imperial Orcs. So there you go. Hut says, I'm sure that we can help with that. Our faction has already had 2 people stripped of their senatorships. Jesus, when they always get you out if you need. Brilliant. Need to bribe more senators. No, I've actually had. I mean, running for office is a tricky one. It's a lot like real world politics, right? So there is the handshakes and trying to do all that stuff and trying to put forward a really good argument, which I feel like I did a fair amount of. But I think it's also a question of trying to get your face out there. I think realistically, one of the best ways to get a position is by being a proxy for someone. Me personally, I only really want to proxy for someone I get on well with. Like, I don't particularly want to do it with someone that I don't have a good rapport with. So that's kind of I'm limiting myself in that fact. So, but I mean, I've got a few contacts now, and there's a lot of. Let me put it this way: there's the throne, sorry, is up for grabs, right? There is a lot of political game out there, and a lot's going to change. There's going to be factions and all sorts of craziness and murderers, and it's going to be fantastic. Like, I'm where I am right now, I'm going to have a front row seat to a whole bunch of it, right? Like, I'm going to be doing some bodyguarding. I'm going to be looking after people. I'm going to get some Navari to maybe do some intimidation tactics. It's going to be a really good time, basically. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to doing, is getting a little bit grey and seeing what's out there and getting involved, really. So yeah,
I just want to not get dead, I think, is probably Tellus's main thing. Or not get killed by people. I think will probably be my main game.
Why? Who do you think is going to kill you?
You guys
People who tried last time.
We're not going to kill you, Ian. I think if things had gone south in that player event, that could have been very different.
Yeah.
I played around with that. That's definitely something that we shouldn't talk about on the stream. But yeah, I did have some ideas. Right, only 90% of High Guard are religious zealots. Everyone. No, it's like Anna's like, that's okay then. Now is the time when creating factions and play the game. Yes, it's the most open point. I think there's going to be so much change. Also, when you look at, like, not to get too hard out into the boring side of politics that I'm sure people aren't really that interested in, but we're losing lots of territories. There's going to be fights for other territories, which changes the whole Senate floor as it stands, right? So a year's going to gone by. We'll see who shows up, if there's any empty seats, etc., etc. I think this would be an interesting time to start looking into the politics game, even if that is from you don't have to win an election to be involved in the political game. You can do lots of other things involved in it. So yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting time. Knight says, how not to be killed and I have one guy in plate and a polearm. Yes, that's very true. Did Ian die for his press arrive yet? Oh no, they haven't arrived yet, Lloyd. When are they going to get here? Have they arrived yet, Ian, or they haven't, have they?
No, I think they're going to be... There might even be another week, to be honest. But they've been made. They're being shipped. But I think it's like on a slow delivery. Yeah. So
Hut says,
I have to be...
I'm not good at politics. The only time that I've been in the Senate, when the Senate Knife Club was still a thing. Senate Knife Club? I don't know about the Senate Knife Club.
Yeah, I think that used to be a thing before friendship.
Well. I mean, we don't need to talk about any of that.
That's dangerous territory to whoever.
And honestly, fucking Friendship Avenue
terrain.
Is like, no, it's Murder Alley and it's our home and that's what it always shall be. And I'm willing to shank people to that effect, right? Like, I'm not having it.
To redeem it.
Yeah.
You will not gentrify this land.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny when I brought...
Exactly. That's a really good way to put it. We're not going to gentrify this shit, right? I'm not having it. It needs to keep its rustic charm.
I like my trashy neighbourhood.
Lloyd's like,
because the one time we camped IC, it was on Murder Alley. It was right on the spot where Bessie had died, and like someone said that to us, and instantly all my striding were panicking, and I was like, hey, no, as long as we're careful, this could be a real good thing.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we camp there. And when I walk home and I'm like, oh my God, there's a bunch of shadows there. And I start gripping my weapon and getting a bit nervous. And then I realize it's my friends walking towards me, right? Like, it's because it's so dark I couldn't recognize them. It's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's only you lads. Do you know what I mean? It's
We've only ever seen like one person. I wasn't even there, but one of my striding, they've only ever seen like one person get threatened on Murder Alley. So I think it's losing its touch. Needs to be rekindled.
To be fair, maybe we're the gentrification. To be fair, like we're far too.
We moved in and it started getting soft.
We live next to a cop, for fuck's sake. Like, we live next to a militiaman. To be fair, he is a bit bent, but that's not the point, you know. He's our cop, which is a good time.
Dirty cops.
Yeah, exactly. I love it when someone else. What was it when someone said, "That's illegal," and we turned to our friend. I won't say his name, and went, "Is that illegal?" And he went, "Nah, you're fine." And then we carried on doing it.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It was fucking amazing.
Yeah. Having like a dirty cop in your pocket is the best thing ever. Right, hold on, what we got here? In brackets, not a cult. Friends. I really enjoy our late night work.
We should all be friends.
No, see, that's the troubling talk here, Merlyn. That's troubling talk.
It's a nice community. It's supportive.
I'm not one for clubs, okay? I'm not one for clubs. I want nothing to do with that wacky shit.
Not a club, it's a family.
Exactly.
It's a family, the friendship family.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's not propaganda, but we will keep changing it until you agree.
I mean, I've heard of members being threatened with a knife to join the thing. The choice is either be a friend.
You learn to like it. you know.
It's like the Stockholm syndrome
so
of like
Honestly, yeah.
I love the fact is that people are like, oh, let's do a thing and let's make it as culty as possible. Like yeah. I hope I never have a run in with a friendship cult, basically. Honestly, murder.
How do you know you haven't already?
Yeah.
I know. I was gonna say.
What?
I like the
How
fact.
do you know you haven't already?
I'm definitely not in the friendship cult. 100%. I don't.
You're not in it, maybe. But you don't know if you've never met them, you know? They're not always on. They don't have a switch that's always friendship cult.
I know people very well who are in the friendship
anyone.
cult. I know people that are in, and it's also weird when it's like like a body snatchers thing where you'll be talking to someone and they'll be like, "Fucking hell, that friendship cult, eh?" And they're like, "Friends," and you're like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, not you as well, man."
Dude, it's like the scene from Fight Club where they like take the senator into the kitchen and they're like, "Look, everyone who works for you." It's like part of this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we watch you while you sleep. We take out your trash. That line, Ian, from Fight Club, definitely.
Yeah.
Hold on, there's a load of friendship chat here, and so I'm waiting for the next time I get challenged and have to use the phrase, "You'd best get more friends if you think 5 of you can take me." I like that. Friendship is heresy. We used to have 2 a.m. knife fights. They're talking about the knife club. Senate Knife Club was? Yes. Okay, cool. Sounds very culty. It is, George. George, don't go and join us. George, don't mess around with those people.
No confirmed kills.
It's
okay?
never.
No confirmed kills.
It's never going to end well for that. Don't be. They'll once the Inquisition figure out and they actually become a threat, then there'll be bloody justice.
The Inquisition of friends.
Our Striding have kind of taken the policy of like, I don't know if there's anyone in it that is in it, but we're all quite happy to say yes and no in equal amount of times to confuse things, and we're probably going to end up dead, but you know,
there's a lot of
a small price to pay for protecting your friend.
I actually, I talk a lot of shit, but I actually think there's loads of stuff that I like about the friendship cult. I am going to call it a cult. I don't care if that's not acceptable, but it's, from what I understand, it was something that basically got started by people that were kind of, maybe down the dumps is the wrong word, but they were kind of hanging around. They went to the Senate building and they were really finding their place, and they all kind of came together and created this weird thing.
The buttons of empire.
Yeah, and I quite like that as a concept. That's very us-y, isn't it? Like we like being the underdogs a lot of the time, right?
It's very empire, to be honest.
Yeah, I like stuff like that.
It's very the experience of LARP, right?
Yeah,
like, it's finding people, finding an experience and enjoying that experience. I think that's just such a kind of
the nerds of a nerdy game coming together and finding common ground and friends is a really fucking cool thing. I like it. It's a good idea. Nights like I walked in, saw what was going on, and slowly backed away. Exactly the same as us. In fact, Ian, did we go to the Senate really late? And there was a bit of a friendship cult going on, and we didn't really know it, but all of us were just like, we were like ready to just go to town on things with weapons. We're all armed, and we're just like, if we have to fight our way out of here, we'll do it.
There was the on the Songs and Story Discord thing before this one.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like, I was enjoying it. Then at the end, there was, everyone's saying, "Oh, amazing, had a great time." And then there was this kind of like link to a Discord chat, and I thought, okay, I'll join.
Oh, no.
As soon as I joined, everyone's like, "Friends." And I was like, "Oh shit!"
I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Immediately backed out.
Yeah.
It's like they've invaded Discord.
It's like those tiny little velociraptors off the Jurassic Park movie, right? Like it's like, as long as you're not on your own and they don't outnumber you, right?
They're
like
hunting packs.
Exactly. So if you just if you get caught on your own, then you'll be in trouble. But yeah.
I love the fact that Lloyd was targeted for it as well. It's so good.
I mean, we shouldn't talk about that.
And he didn't even realise.
That's the thing, is there's so many people you want to talk about, but you're like, no, because I don't trust people to not metagame and get them in trouble.
Well, yeah, I'm worried about it. Like, I don't want to give up. Like, I'm telling you, the Inquisition's coming, man. I want nothing to do with that shit. I like how also I know some heresy sometimes and cults and all that stuff. It's kind of like people might mention something in passing, and you'll have no fucking clue that they're involved. But they are.
I think the kind of
Just watching and waiting for your reaction.
Yeah, like probing questions, right? Like,
I think that's a very true
What's
thing
your
of like.
opinion?
Yeah.
It's a true thing of like LARP and LARP character is like you have all these kind of Chekhov's guns like hanging around like on your wall. You know, these things that you kind of have set up and other characters around you have set up. Like, you know, they're a nice guy, but there's a little bit of heresy hanging up on the wall if you kind of,
Yeah, well,
you know, you can have a look at any time. You know, there's that little press button issue, which is heresy.
I
you
think,
know, and there's all kinds of things like that for every character.
Also, I would say that if the Inquisition wanted you, then they can get you for pretty much anything. The virtues are a very loosey-goosey thing. They can be used to justify and damn anyone at any time, right? It's a question of how you argue
You
it
just have to have an equally witty, mouthy guide on your side to help you.
Yeah.
And you can also get out of most things as well.
Yeah. One of the big things is kicking out senators or other people like that for being unvirtuous. Like, that's a real PvP technique, is to get someone to kind of like portray them as unvirtuous, and you can definitely, you know, oust them and get them gone, you know. Hold on, I'm not saying here. Now Dawn is at the end of Murder Alley. Oh, is that right? They changed the camp stages. There is at least one shanking on Murder Alley just to keep the ambience up. Agreed, Phil. If I have to take that hit, I will. You got to play to the crowd, keep the spirit alive. Right, I'm not saying that...
We were going to kidnap, and then we were going to torture, and then we were going to kill someone. And I'm only saying it now because we decided not to, and it's a different plan now. But we were considering doing that on Murder Alley just to help decrease the property value again, so that it can be reclaimed by those.
Got to spice it up.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay.
Could I just? I think also, I live here should be a good defense to not get shanked on Murder Alley, right? Like, it should be a good defense, right? You can't go murdering people that.
You need a little pass, a little Murder Alley pass.
But, yeah, Arabelle, definitely a religious smear campaign. A muddy field, easy to fall. A nation of painted nice people by accidentally. Nearby accidents could happen. Yeah, I think, let me put it this way. When I lost the election, the second election, I had 2 genuine offers for the person to get murdered, right? Genuine offers. This wasn't like a passing. It was for reals, though. Like, I can make this happen if you want it to happen. Just let me know. And it was just like, no, I don't want you to kill them. Like, that's fucking brutal. My character's too nice for that. Like, he's not like a bad person, right? Like, if he's
at the moment anyway.
Well, yeah. Let's see how he does with the ambassadorship to Jam, and if things going wrong, and stop talking about it anyway. Yeah.
I think that's one of the best things about Navarre, which is going to sound odd, but there is such like a loyalty, and obviously there might be in other nations. I don't know. I'm not part of them, but I remember. I think it was our first event. There was a trial for somebody who'd ripped up one of the Empress's like notes. And they taken away. And it was like everyone went, and everybody had a weapon, but were being calmly. And I remember they were saying like, Navarre, we're here to make a point. We're not here to act like children. Put your weapons away, but be ready. And then there was this. They had a fine for a ridiculous amount of money, and somebody just picked up a coin purse and everyone just shoved a load of money in it, and it was made within like no time.
Yeah, I feel
that was such a nice feeling, especially on the first event, to be like, oh, I chose well.
When I got involved in that little cleaving incident that I got involved in, I got rescued by Dan and Caro. They came rushing over to defend me. I didn't know them that well at the time, but that was really cool. I always feel a lot safer with Navarre, and I will always take, on a surface level, always take a Navarre at face value, like immediately. If I get there and then it's be like, no, this guy's a murdering bastard, then the guy's like, no, I am a murdering bastard, I'll be like, all right, fair enough, I'll see you soon. But it wouldn't be my first action would be like, oh, I'll definitely try and at least intervene or protect Navarre if I could.
And honestly, if they were a murderous bastard, I'd just be interested in their motives. It wouldn't necessarily condemn them instantly, you know. Are they doing clever murdering bastardry, in which case more power to you. But I don't like it when it's just stupid. Stupid crime is sad.
Yeah, nobody wants to, like, well, I think that's one thing that me and you worried about, Ian, even with our tiny little listener base, was someone would just be like, I'm going to murder one of the LARP Noobs lads just for the lols, right? I'm sure other people from that also are in the public eye also have that issue, right? But I don't think many people are actually going to do
public
that.
eye. No, I know what you mean though.
No, you get what I mean though, right? Like, you don't know. There's
I get
2,000 people on the field. There could be all sorts out there. Like, if someone wanted to murder me, I just hope it's for a good reason. Like, it's like I don't mind dying in that sort of thing if it was for something awesome, right? To be perceived as a genuine threat to something, or that my death would have a Phil just said cancels contract. You try phoning back the number and it's just a dead end. So it's like, once the money's been transferred, it's done, man. You can't. There's no going back.
No take back.
No take back.
Please.
Yeah. Makes you think a bit of Tomska for being shanked, not being shanked. I don't know what that is. Tomska.
YouTuber, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Is this a LARP YouTuber?
I don't think they're specifically LARP. I mean, I've never watched them, but I've heard people talk about them. I don't think they're specifically LARP.
I don't know.
If they were LARP, I'd probably have seen a little bit of it.
I don't know. But yeah, I think this is one of the things where, like, I like this whole, well, we're doing it, right? Like, I like the whole people creating their own content stuff. And I think Toshma does ASDR movies. Online comics.
Oh, the one with the cupcake. Baby cupcake. That's all I know.
I don't know. That's a. I watch a lot of YouTube, but that's not.
Everything everybody just said means nothing to me. I have no idea what any of it means.
I don't know. I know Cupquake from years ago. She, yeah, but I didn't know. God, do you know what's weird? Bungle came over my house like not fucking before quarantine, but you know when you put on YouTube and then it shows your references or whatever, it's just like loads of our stuff is identical, right? Because we're probably the same age group, but it's like we probably have same interests. But I bet my YouTube algorithm would look totally different to other people's. But you know, oh, here you go. Nice, we'll have a look. It's an obscure reference. Nice. We should start wrapping up, guys, because we've been doing this for 2 hours, which is ridiculous. Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, that flew by. And I'm like getting I'm getting to that like sweaty stage where I'm a little bit ugh if the heat in here at the moment. It's very humid near my house at the moment, so let me get my face in shot. Ian, do you want to bring your face?
How's everyone's projects been going?
I have drawn out this many, which is pretty good. I'm gonna call that a win. So I just need to cut these out. I've only got a few left to draw, which is these ones, but yeah, that's good.
I've got made a bunch of plate things just ready to template out, and then I've made some stuff that still needs all the holes punched. So not a huge bit of progress.
No, that's really good, Ian. That's great. How about you, Merlyn?
I did the texture on this. I finished it up. So I finished these bits and doing the texture so that I'm going to try and like dry rub paint over there so it sees a little bit more. And then I did my second layer of embroidery around my.
Oh, that's really nice.
That's really nice.
Because they were very plain.
I think that's amazing. I think
that looks really good.
I think it's going to look so good when you're finished. It looks good now, but when I think you'll have to show me when it's actually done. Hopefully we'll be able to see it this year. Hopefully, that's fine. Let's see if there's a thing. Oh, not some nice things here. Let me try and get through some things. Right, it is bloody warm. That's damn right. It is hot. Thanks for joining us, by the way. I look forward to your streams at some point, dude. That'd be really fucking cool. Right, so this has been an excellent first crafting stream. Thank you all. That's from Mush. Thank you, dude. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming along, man. It's really appreciate it. Hut says I'm planning to forge some scale cut dies. Ooh. Fancy. Yeah, I really look forward to seeing some of your streams. I think it's a good place to learn. George says the hype for LARP is even more now. Appreciate that, dude. Yeah, I definitely feel like I've had a bit of a weird week with LARP hype. I was a little bit like, yeah, it's tough, man, without having an event to look forward to, but this has definitely cheered me up with the whole thing. Right, where are we? Knight says Really enjoyed it. Can't wait for the next one. Yeah, I think we'll try and do this more regularly. And Ian, I speak for both of us. Really enjoyed having Merlyn on. It's been really nice. I think you really added an extra thing.
It's been great, dude.
Also,
yeah,
like
awesome.
our whole thing is just like our whole podcast is such a fucking sausage fest most of the time, and it's like it's really nice to have a slight variety in some people that are on rather than dudes in their 30s, for fuck's sake. Right. You can't wait for the next one. Bloody hell, that's pretty. Yes, George. I think it's talking about Merlyn stuff there. Hut says the same thing. Looking great.
Thank you.
Great time as always. Thank you, Phil, for coming as always, man. We really appreciate your ongoing support as a rule. Right, we'll say goodbye. A couple of things. Thank you very much to our patrons as well. As always, you guys are really helping us out, especially in this time. As always, if you are short of cash in any way, don't feel any pressure from us, but we do really appreciate it. I'm working on something that potentially isn't LARP related and doing a second channel of some stuff, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm kind of getting to the point now where I'm kind of looking forward to getting into some video content on YouTube and doing a few bits. It's going to be kind of similar.
People will know the face to the voice, because the first time I met you, I had no clue who you were.
No,
and then you mentioned your name, and I was like, I've listened to like all of the podcast episodes up till now.
Yeah, that is.
And I just didn't clock it.
We've got so many episodes now that there's just such a backlog. Like, if anyone's listened to all of them, it's like, damn, it's such a fucking mountain to climb at the moment. But yeah, it is quite nice to not be recognized. But to be fair, this isn't going to be LARP related. This is going to be more I'm gonna say 40k related. So I'm thinking about maybe doing a project to do with 40k and doing an ongoing thing about
minis, right?
Yeah, and I'm completely new to it, so I'm gonna kind of
like a money sink.
Yes, that unfortunately I like expensive hobbies.
That's why it's a Dave thing and not a me thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be me on my own this time, I think, but it's gonna be the same kind of like from the point of view of not knowing anything to try and hopefully learn a bit about it. Roll the dice, fuck it. We've done this before, we can do it again. You know what I mean? So yeah, hold on. Cheers, go. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks everyone. If you're looking for someone to raid, Go Ape costume is lovely and amazing work. Oh, cool. Okay, I'll have a look at them. We like the third. I'm like a third of the way through. Oh, brilliant, Hut. That's great. George, 49 or so. I don't know what the 49 relates to. I don't know. Calling you out. Ooh, yeah, cool. Nice one, Phil. Warhammer equals plastic crack. There is a lot of them, but I don't think...
To be fair, I am knocking on 48 sets of polyhedral dice, so I'm not going to judge you for plastic crack.
I think it's like, there's lots of reasons why. Like, I don't really know many people in my area. All my friends are in Cambridge, so it's like an opportunity to do that. I like the models. Anyway, so I'll save that for some nice YouTube content, right? And I'll talk all about it then.
Yeah, I'll have to do something with my board game and
D&D Phil,
at some point.
I've got one more episode to release, and I'm trying to kind of oh, the number of episodes. Yeah, Fortnite. I think is the next one 50? Oh fuck, is the next one 50?
Yeah. Oh,
we should do something for that. Oh shit. Okay, we'll try and... Okay, as that was me literally realising that, so I will talk to Ian about it, and we'll try and come up with something, maybe a bit of a... we have been a bit, like, looking back at the good old days a lot this year, so I don't know whether... Suggestions, by the way, if anyone has, we could do listener questions or a bunch of topics or whatever you want to do. So maybe having some feedback from you guys would really help us out with an episode, basically, because you know, we're happy to talk about stuff, but we don't want to go over and kiss our own asses so much. Like, we are really proud of what we've done, and it's great to get to 50 episodes and having all of you come along with that, right? It's a really cool thing, but we don't want to end up being
bonkers.
It can be a bit. You know, we don't want to suck our own dicks the whole time, do we? Yes, I've listened to every episode of the podcast. I just need to, well, you know what I'm saying. I just need the content. I have to watch 40k Journey. Might get me back into it. No, George, do not get back into 40k. Don't start crying.
Yeah. Do that to yourself. That's a relapse.
Yeah,
that's not a hobby, that's a relapse.
That is not what...
Exactly.
Go back to rehab.
Yeah, exactly. Keep away, man. Self-isolate. Be good to yourself. Is one of you in Cambridge? I live near there. Yeah, Ian lives in Cambridge, Bungle lives in Cambridge, and Lloyd lives in Cambridge. Like our whole little troop. And Good Dave lives in St Ives, doesn't he? Which is just down the road from there.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, cool. All right. on those last shocking revelations, we'll get out of here. But Merlyn, thank you so much again for joining us. It's been an absolute fucking treat.
It's been awesome.
You're welcome.
So good.
Thanks
And
for
so
having
much
me.
fantastic stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. It's great to have like so much talent on the screen, right? Anyway, yeah, let's get out of here. Everyone have a good night. Hope to stay safe and stay cool this evening and get a good night's sleep, all right? Much love, everyone. As we always say, strength to the Empire.
Strength to the bar.
Yeah.